To be an indie means we buck a system that doesn't want us. To be a fringe filmmaker means we don't do it for them. We do it for ourselves. To be an outlaw on the fringe means we'll die before we fail. Be an outlaw.
George!
You like this, Joe? I'm trying new things here. I'm figuring maybe I can adjust the glasses for a more judgy kind of look, since tonight we've got some judgment going on. How's it going, man?
All right, should I work on a judgmental face, or?
I think that's pretty much, you've just got sort of, what do they call it?
If you say resting bitch face, I'm gonna freaking
go. No, it's like an RJF, a resting judgmental face.
Well played. Well played.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm tired as fuck, but I'm good. Been working like crazy, doing all kinds of stuff, putting stuff in the briefcase. People don't know what that means yet, but they will. And I keep teasing it. I keep talking about it. I keep throwing it out there. I guess that just means you're going to just have to pay attention to the Romero Pictures Indie Brigade moving forward, because we've got some big shit coming. I am your host, George C. Romero. With me, as always, is my ever-present and faithful producer extraordinaire, Mr. Joe Ridgely. And welcome, motherfucking outlaws. Another week has passed. Another week of lockdown. Another week of craziness. Another week of sheer madness and insanity in the minds of creatives. I know that there's a handful of people who have been prepping for tonight. At least I hope they have been, because tonight is the hostile environment episode. So for those of you who do not know about last week, it was awesome. We opened up the floor and we had some folks come on and give us 1-minute pitches for their projects. We had Stephanie, we had Sam, we had Sean, and we had Jack all last week. They all gave 1-minute pitches. And our wonderful panel of Richard Grieco, Michael Mandaville, Herman Michael Torres, and myself gave them some criticisms, gave them some advice, and gave them some tips on how to move forward and prep for this week, because this week everybody's coming back to do their 5-minute pitch in a hostile environment. So welcome to it.
And the funny thing is, I'm not going to mention who, but one of them told me they had to go get medicated antiperspirant for tonight.
Was that you?
Yeah.
Were you that guy, Joe?
I was. Damn it. I do have to say congratulations to Romero Pictures Indie Brigade. I was scrolling along on our page, and it was 1 year ago, August 10th, that we started the Facebook group and actually started this whole thing. So
look at that. Boom.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, in true indie fashion, we kind of missed the date exactly, but it's close enough.
Well, we weren't on it August. So
I mean, could have made a post or something.
I just found out today. Damn it.
What a crazy fucking year, huh? Like, I remember when this started, you were like, yeah, you want to do a podcast? And I was like, and then you and I talked for a while and came up with some formats. And then I talked it over with my beautiful wife, Rebecca, who's watching tonight. And you and I kept talking. A lot of people don't realize that I actually spoke a lot with Richard Grieco after you and I spoke, and he was a huge part in convincing me that this would be a fun idea, even though I didn't know what the fuck I was going to do. We had
and still don't.
No, why? I mean, where's the fun in that? I am, however, premiering my brand new judging mug tonight.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me get a close up on that one, Seth.
Because coffee makes me feel less murdery. And that's from Mr. Matthew Medney of Heavy Metal Magazine. So
Nice.
That was a nice little surprise that came in the mail this week. And I'm going to use it as my judging mug. So if I drink from it, I think that might be a little more powerful and a little more off-putting for you, Joe, than just a simple blame. I think you're used to blame Joe. Now I need to just brutally judge you.
Okay, but I have the power of the spacing effect.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. That's an awesome shirt. Congratulations to the Spacing Effect. I actually have my shirt, but it is 110 degrees here today. So I am not wearing it today, but I will debut some pictures of it on the old Facebook soon. I love it, and we're very happy. They were one of our first guests on this show, actually.
They were.
Great band, and great friends of ours, great friends of the Indie Brigade, and
Scotty.
Proud of them. What's up, Scotty? Very proud of you guys, man. You guys have come so far since we met a year ago, and it's been an interesting year for a lot of people, and we've seen a lot. That's interesting for the Indie Brigade too. We've seen a lot of crazy good growth among members of the brigade over the last year. We've got some people who've been with us since the very beginning. We've got some new folks. We've got a wonderful community of people who all look out for each other, help each other, and love each other. And that was evident this week when our own Gunny went to visit Sean Smithson, and they had a little in-person get-together. Thank you, Gunny. Awesome. So happy that you guys got to meet up in person. Libby, another one of our very first guests here on the Indie Brigade. So happy and proud that you're still with us. It's been awesome. Where's the cake? Ron, it should have been delivered to your place. We're supposed to cut to you. You're supposed to be jumping out of it in 18 minutes. So if you don't have the cake, I guess we're going to have to cancel the Ron Jumps Out of a Cake segment tonight, Joe.
I hope the pasties got there in time.
Wow, it looks like I'm in the wrong chat. I'm in the green room chat. I'm going to go to the comments here. Wow.
Yeah. I'm going backwards right now on them, to be honest with you. Because if not, I'll never be able to.
Yes, Kelly. Someone said cake. Ron's going to jump out of a cake if everything arrived on time. But something tells me it didn't. So that's probably canceled tonight. That was a well-planned segment we've been planning for weeks, and we're going to have to cancel it now. So thank you, Scotty. You're fucking awesome.
He is.
So happy everybody is here. Christopher Inlow. Stephanie, looks like you got some love and support in the house. It's going to be fun, man. Stick around. Ron's had some huge success lately. Big shout out to Ron Perty. He's released 2 shorts in this quarantine. I think I'm pretty sure I pronounced that correctly. He's released 2 shorts during this quarantine, one with Tyler Shea Cohn, who you all know for just being Tyler Shea Cohn, but more recently, you may know him from the Romero Pictures, Heavy Metal, Indie Brigade, Wagner Wiles with Lance and Sam Wagner. So that's been a lot of fun. I'm telling you, we're growing. And then pretty soon here in a couple weeks, another week, I guess, right? The 20th, we're premiering what was I thinking? Fragments from a Dirty Ashtray with our own Richard Grieco. So stick around. That's going to be a fucking mind-bending trip. So I hope everybody's getting ready for that one. I'm super excited about it, and he's here with us tonight again. So just so happy about that one.
I'm a little nervous about that one.
What did you say?
I'm a little nervous about that one.
It's going to be amazing. I literally, you guys all just witnessed it. I literally lost my train of thought mid-sentence. It's been that kind of fucking day. So,
it's the coffee in the new mug.
Yeah, it's the coffee in the new mug. It's the meetings about the Cold Dead War, the financial planning meetings for the briefcase, meetings about the briefcase, filling the briefcase, and writing for Cold Dead War and writing for Rise, both for heavy metal, and also prepping to be a guest on the heavy metal IP development during the Times of COVID panel tomorrow afternoon. So look out for a graphic on that one. That's going to be going down tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4 p.m. Pacific Time. What else? What else do we want to talk about? If you're new to the Indie Brigade, go get you. Oh, here's some big news on the merch front. Monday. Our merch provider is kicking back into high gear Monday. So if you've been waiting for a merch order, I thank you for your patience. Everything is getting kicked in the ass on Monday, and merch should start going out and flowing like hot and cold running merch here in the next few days. So Big good news coming from that side of things. Everybody, all of your Indie Brigade stuff will be in your hot little hands very soon. And if you have not ordered your Indie Brigade merch yet, please go to romeropictures.com/merch. We've had some hiccups through this quarantine, just like a lot of businesses have. But we appreciate your patience. We appreciate you sticking with us. And we appreciate all your love and support. And every merch purchase, say that fast 5 times, Joe. You can't, can you? Merch purchase, merch purchase, merch purchase, merch purchase, merch purchase. Come on.
Okay, just remember, at one point I was going to be an actor, and they had us practice with red leather, yellow leather. Say that 5 times fast, George.
Don't stop deflecting.
It's the only defense I have. Damn it.
Damon says he can't wait to read the story about the briefcase. Damon, there's no story to read. It's going to get announced and talked about really fucking big here on the Indie Brigade, man. So make sure you stick around. Dean Fernando in the audience tonight. Dino, I love you. Dino's show is coming soon. Cinephiles. There it is. Show's a little slow tonight, too. Cinephiles. Discussing the visual vocabulary of film with Dean Fernando. You're not going to want to miss this. It is not a live show. It is being pre-taped, and it is amazing. So Dino's moving and shaking, getting that done quickly, and we'll be bringing that to you very soon here on the Indie Brigade Network. Jimmy Starr tuning in tonight. I feel honored, Jimmy.
Right?
That's awesome. Thank you so much for tuning in here tonight, man.
And I just got to bring it up. Dino, I'm glad you're safe, brother, because, that throttle cable busting while you're on a ride.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think anybody who's had a bike has had that happen at some point. It's not a happy time. So I hope when you posted that you were at Bartell's that you were there buying a new bike. Love me some Bartell's. That's where I used to get my bikes out in LA.
So Terry
Brandon, of course, man, it's my pleasure and it's an honor to try to help, man. Shameless Drone Cav plug for tomorrow night at 7 p.m. For those who tuned in to Terry's last episode of the Drone Cav, you will see that it was a fake episode. That sneaky bastard. If you want to see what's up, you're going to have to tune in tomorrow night at 7 p.m. on the Indie Brigade Network. You'll see it all over our socials, all over Facebook, all over YouTube, everywhere, all over the internet. So that's going to be a lot of fun. That's going to be live. So we actually got 2 things going live tomorrow at 7. We got Terry's Drone Cav show, and then I'm doing this panel thing for the Mainframe Comic-Con. So you guys got a good Saturday night planned ahead of you, since this lockdown has still got everybody, well, locked down. Oh, Damon's brain just exploded because the Drone Cav's on a Saturday. Joe, you want to take that one?
Terry, you want to take that one? That was all Terry's planning. I tried to talk him out of it. I said, you got a good thing going on Thursday nights. He's like, no, man, I got this all set up. We're going to tease it a little. And then the biggest Drone Cav episode ever, Saturday night, 7 p.m.
The guest stars he has tomorrow night, you guys aren't going to fucking believe it. It's ridiculous. I'm not going to give anything away, but Celine Dion.
And apparently he went to Vegas. It's amazing what those drones can do.
What else? Under the merch segment of section of RomeroPictures.com/merch, you will find a line of clothing called Scare Tactical. For those who don't know about the Veterans Compound yet, you will be knowing about that soon. Probably right around the same time you're going to be knowing a bit more about the briefcase. So right now, what you need to know about the Veterans Compound is we're trying to do a lot of good for a lot of veterans, and every Scare Tactical piece of merch that you buy, a piece of that sale goes directly toward helping us help veterans. It goes directly into the Veterans Compound, and it helps us help more vets. So if you're going to get some merch, all of our merch is cool, but my heart wants to tell you to get the Scare Tactical stuff, because we're going to need a lot of help with that coming up here pretty soon. So go get you some Scare Tactical stuff. It's really awesome. All designed by Ian Steyer, the gentleman who's designed the look and feel of all of the rebranding that we launched January 2nd of this year. Big shout outs to, who else do we want to give shout outs to? Big shout out. You know who we need to give a shout out to? We need to give a shout out to Chuck Daniels, Bastard Sons of Judas Goat, responsible for the music that you hear here on the Romero Pictures Indie Brigade and the opening credits and all of that other jazz. Love Chuck Nasty. He's also got the Nasty Nation, which is still gearing up to switch over to a video show. So that's,
you just want me to pull this up?
Sure, if you want. I mean, I was going to just do it from memory so that I could rub that in later too. But for those who don't know, we've got the End of the Night coming up later tonight with David Lee Madison. He's got a phenomenal guest. I always say his name wrong, but it's Ken Sagoes. We've got the Wagner Wiles. We just
sorry, I'm going to put that on there real fast.
God damn it, Joe.
Hey! You did the plug. I was slow with the picture. It's I don't have any.
We're like we're a little out of sync tonight. Oh, this is going to be good for a hostile environment. You know, the worst pitches I ever walked into were pitches on days when somebody in the office was a little bit off. Right? Like you walk in to give a pitch and you hear somebody getting their ass chewed out in the back of the office, and then they walk out and they're like, "Fuck you!" And they're like, "Oh, you're here to pitch me?" You're like, great. Yes, I am. So that'll be fun. Love you too, Gunny. Below that, we've got the Wagner Wiles. They just added Tyler Shacone to their show and had a show Sunday night. Stay tuned for updates on upcoming new awesome episodes. Below that, we've got the Nasty Nation I just spoke about with Chuck Nasty, Chuck Daniels, who's one half of Bastard Sons of Judas Goat. In the middle there, we've got DEF CON 1, for those who don't remember. That was back when we did the very first online fan convention in the history of online fan conventions, back on March 28th and 29th. That was awesome. We streamed for 2 days, a little bit over 8 hours each day. 16 hours of really fun times were had. And, so I'm just happy that we get, the occasional shout out from all these other ones that are happening. I'm just kidding. We don't get the shout out. To the left of that, we've got the Drone Cav, which we've already covered. Ian Steyer, the man responsible for the logos and the design of the Scare Tactical line of clothing. He's got a written blog on our website called The Devil is Into Detail. If you haven't checked it out, check it out now. Ian is currently off on a production, so he's a little behind on getting his blogs on the site, but that's okay because he's off doing it and living the dream and making a motherfucking movie. So above that, we've got Living the Scream with Tiffany Sheppas, who will be joining us shortly with her brand new show. And finally, above that, we touched on it at the top of the show. What Was I Thinking? Fragments from a Dirty Ashtray with Richard Grieco. And then there was one other thing up there. If you could just, there you go. Dead center, we've got, as always, Blame Joe. The only message potentially larger than that of the outlaw philosophy of the Indie Brigade. Anything goes wrong in your life, blame Joe. Problems at home, Joe's fault. Did you fuck up at work? Blame Joe.
Your cat has a UTI?
Blame Joe. COVID? Blame Joe.
I gotta draw the line somewhere.
The devil is in the Dion. Hosted by Celine Dion. Oh man, now I'm not going to get that out of my head until that show becomes reality. It's so much fun adding shows to the Indie Brigade, man. And just a quick shout out to all the outlaws out there watching tonight, all the outlaws that tune in after the live episode, and all the outlaws out there who support us and love us and who we love more than anything, who are the people that we do this for. You all are members of an Indie Brigade. Don't ever forget it. You are not just fans. You are not just audience members. You are members of this family. We are here to help. We are here to have your back. We are here to help you remember that in the face of all of the darkness, when the creative tries to run away and hide and convince you that you should stop, or you should not do it, or you should take cover, don't charge forward. Do it. Right. Film, shoot, whatever it is, do it. And we're here to help you remember that forever. So thank you for being part of us. Thank you for being members in the Indie Brigade. And thank you for being our family. And by the way, if you don't dig any of our merch, or COVID got your bank account down, but you still love what we do, you still learn things, you still like us for some reason, me, not that guy. Go to buymeacoffee.com/RP Indie Brigade and, well, buy me a coffee. Every little bit helps us keep the lights on, keep the servers running, all that other stuff. So thank you, everybody, for being here 1 year into this. Thank you for sticking with us. And I can't wait to see what the next year brings. The difference is I already know what it's going to bring.
And they just turned my lights out.
Yeah, that was just my dark magic.
Again?
Yeah, sorry.
That explains the third nipple.
What else? Is there anything else we want to talk about, touch on, go over? Is there anything you want to Joe, let's check in with Joe. Let's have a segment called Joe's Check-In. Joe, how are you? How are you doing? All right, and moving on.
I really don't get stage fright, so don't.
Hang on, let me silently judge you.
1 year, baby. You've been dealing with my shit.
My judging mug. Judging you so fucking hard right now. Look at that. Coffee makes me less murdery. You're pitching somebody, you don't want them feeling murdery.
No.
Let's see.
So where can they find us if they are just now joining us for the first time, George?
I don't know. That's your part of the plug.
Damn it.
I'm
Parched.
I'm dead air.
So for those of you that are new joining us, follow us on, I got to wait for the scroll to go by, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit all the buttons you can. Get the notification, and we greatly appreciate it. Something so small that you guys can do that can help us immensely.
I just think it's funny that you actually had to wait for the scroll.
No, I didn't. I was trying to find some humor. Shut up, George.
Where are you trying to find it? You're looking in the wrong place.
Touche.
Oh, fuck, I'm funny. I'm just kidding.
I know.
I love you, Joe.
I know.
Hello from Melbourne, Australia. What's up, Douglas? How are you?
That's cool.
Renfield fucks up a lot at work. # Joe's going down.
Oh, what the hell?
Outlaw for life. Thank you, Matt. Thanks for sticking with us, man. Love my Indie Brigade family. Our RPIB family forever. He's needing therapy after our Gunny, Joe, you forget. Joe's been dealing with my ass for a year. He's needed therapy a lot longer than that. Ron, are you going to smash your keyboard in celebration of the 1 year? Or, I mean, is that, or I'm not, okay.
Or are you on a different channel right now?
Man, tonight's going to be a lot of fun. Is anybody here yet?
Yeah, we got Michael and GMT.
Nice.
Shall I?
Please.
Mr. Michael Mandaville has been waiting patiently.
Sir, how are you?
Good. How about yourself there, Cameron? Everything good?
Everything's great. Everything's great. How's life? How's the world of Michael Mandaville?
It's doing pretty good today. I actually had a really good couple meetings today, and somebody I'm talking about a TV show. Kind of very much the Indie Brigade style. Right now, kind of a good guerrilla sensibility to it. So I kind of like that. I think you can get away with a lot more and get it into production. So it actually was very good. They approached me because I have a lot of knowledge about the mafia. I probably read about 60 books on it, but also over the years, many years ago, I think I was about, well, I don't want to say how many years ago that was, but in my early 20s. And I was hired by a guy in the mafia who wanted to have his story kind of told. So he actually paid me to go and interview a lot of people around the U.S. So I literally met like Fat Tony Salerno. I met the guy who was in Casino, the Spalatro brothers. I met the Patriarchas, a number of guys in Chicago, Joy Doves Ayupa. All these guys, very interesting guys. Angelo Bruno out of Philly, the Buffalinos out of Jersey, West Jersey, northern, was it Barr, Pennsylvania, I think.
Mhm.
So,
Wilkes-Barre.
Wilkes-Barre, there it is. Thank you. And so, I met all these interesting guys, and a number of them where you just look and are going, I want to get out of here. You're just a plain psychopath. And, there's nothing admirable about pretty much all of them. Fascinating as characters.
Right.
Fascinating as characters. And it's this kind of interesting thing where you could just see the room dynamics in play, as the attention shifts to one person, good or bad. And those little flicks of the chin that go, what do those mean? It's fascinating world. So, I dug deep into that and I've consulted on a couple scripts on it, that sort of thing. I mean, I at one time knew all the families and a lot of the soldiers, a lot of the capos, the history.
Mm-hmm.
People are surprised when I was like, no. Gambino is not the original Five family.
Mm-hmm.
You forget about the Mangianos, the Gaglianos, and the Profacis, and people are like, oh, that wasn't the original Five? No, and the only one that's maintained their name from inception to the present day is the Bonanno family.
Yep.
That's it. So it's a real fascinating world to me to dive into that world, and I bring this up because I think people in the Indie Brigade, everybody's got a unique world that they can do a movie about or a show, a little world that you want to get into, much like Sons of Anarchy got into the biker world,
Mm-hmm.
which was a unique little world. And I think that's the strength of like the Indie Brigade and a voice that institutionally wouldn't be heard,
That's a really good point. I mean, you're right. Absolutely. People have access to subcultures,
Yeah.
I mean, you and I have talked a lot about the subculture of train hopping, right? Because
Sure.
that I did that for a long time when I was younger, and they're not names that are well known, but there are a lot of reasons why I haven't gone public with any story about that part of my life. And and it's its own little microcosm and subculture, and that I don't think anybody really knows about.
No,
but
the only movie was that I could think of might have been that one movie that they did forever ago called, I think it was almost called The King of the Northwest or something.
Mm-hmm.
You know the one I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Ernest Borgnine and
Yep. And that movie is like gospel to train riders.
Yeah. And that's the only one ever done on anything like that subject.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing. It's like you go into that world. Most people go into that world for a couple of reasons. Most of those reasons revolve around disappearing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
anonymity.
Yeah, exactly. And and it's just interesting because you and I discuss this from time to time, and I think people spend too much time saying, I'm a fan of this, I'm a fan of that, I want to be a sci-fi guy, or I want to be a horror guy, or I want to be a romantic comedy type person. But we all have something, like you said, in our immediate frame of reference that can serve for almost an endless well to go back to for stories, especially when you're just trying to find your footing as a creative, right?
100%. And I actually think what's interesting about it is if you dig deep inside yourself about this experience, there's parts of it that are so authentic. You go, well, no, that's true. That's really happened. And because when you write about it authentically, people will embrace and go, whoa, I would never have known that about this.
Yeah.
And that little ping, it's kind of like when you meet somebody and you can tell if they're authentic and they're talking in the same voice they're going to talk to in the social media world, let's say, as in reality. Or you can get that thing of like, nah, they're trying to sell me. Mm-hmm. And human beings have an extraordinary capacity because it was survival. Because if this guy or this woman lied to you about where that dinosaur herd was, you're going to die today. You know, if you think about it. And it's literally an acute survival mechanism, but I think that we still have it when we're being sold. But if you find that little kernel, and I think if the kernel exists in your world where you can shoot it now, you're not going, well, I got a story about a cruise ship. And I'm like, do you own that stuff? You know, I mean, you just jumped into a whole world of budget money and numbers. But if you got that little kernel that says, here's how I can do that, it's a gem. And,
right.
You know?
Yeah, because, you know, I think if you jump into that other stuff, if you like, if I decided I was going to write a movie that was about the world of boat racing, the amount of research, time, energy, and effort I would have to put into it would be almost counterproductive to me actually just telling the story that I want to tell.
Yes, I would agree.
You know what I mean?
It's there's a point where you can. There's a guy, Bill Duke. You know Bill? You know, you remember Bill from Predator.
Of course.
So he and I were talking because I was working with him on a film. Great guy. He'd always try and pull that cap off and look at me to intimidate me about like a couple things. I'm like, it's not working. It's not working, Bill. Nice try. Try and throw that Predator look at me, you know?
Right.
I got a funny story on that one time. I could tell you. It's a great story. But Bill said something interesting. He goes, look, I did this movie about these 4 Jewish women in Brooklyn. And he goes, I'm definitely not Jewish. And he goes, so but out of respect for the culture, that means, you know, I had to dive into it and see how that functioned so that it didn't become a parody or a satire by insensitivity.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of the way he put it. And I thought, you know, that means that, you know, anybody can direct any kind of movie if you dive into it respectfully and you find the universal human connectivity of it. Fine. Right. But I thought the way he phrased that was really good, you know? and but he did have to do his research to get into it, you know. It wasn't quite as much as boat racing, I think, in a certain sense. But
and that's great. I mean, any amount of time, you know, any story is going to require research. Like if I write a story about anything, I'm going to have to research elements of it. Yeah. But, I mean, and there's certain people out there who are phenomenal research writers.
Yes.
You know, people who that's their thing. In the meantime, Joe is here.
Well, we've got a couple of other guys waiting down below, and I figured we'd bring them up.
Please do.
There we go.
We got
Hey, what's up, GMT?
Hey, Herman.
How are you guys?
How's it going, man?
Good, man. I have water today.
Oh, you must actually be working.
I actually was working, but I did have a whiskey about half hour ago. So.
Grieco, what's up, brother?
Hey, brother.
How's the connection? Are you good tonight? You ready for these pitches?
It's kind of swimmy.
Grieco, the question is, are you drinking water as well?
Hey, guys. So, nice.
Yep.
Nice seeing all of you again.
Coffee.
Awesome to see everybody again tonight. Thank you, everybody, for coming back tonight. You know, just to kind of give everybody, I'd love to just go around the room here. You know, obviously it's been a week since we heard our pitches. We all know how that works. We heard some great pitches last week, and from what I've been kind of hearing, it seems that everybody who was here last week is pretty excited to be here again this week. And it seems that they've put a lot of time, energy, and effort into prepping based off of some of the advice we gave. So let's just start. Let's start with GMT and say, you know, everybody's already in the green room and waiting. So, you know, what is it we're all expecting from everybody tonight in their, we're calling them 5-minute pitches, but we all know how that goes. It might be 3 minutes, it might be 7 minutes, and then there's going to be talking about it afterwards. So in the spirit of not running out of time, I want to try to speed through and get to it. But GMT, what are you looking for tonight? I'm
looking for, I guess, clarity, kind of making sure that you understand your story and what perspective you're bringing to the table. Obviously, traditionally I would want to know like who you are, what your bio is, like what's happening, so I can make a full assessment, because it's not just about content. However, since tonight we're just talking about the pitch, I just want clarity, what the themes are, what it's about. Again, I always talk about macro to micro, and I know that's kind of another big conversation, but like, what the world is, how I'm going to experience this world. I'm going to follow this one character or two that's going to take me to that world. And then that's it. And then I'll have questions, I hope.
Right. So let me ask you this, because you said clarity and themes, right?
Yeah.
Theme is one of the hardest questions to get asked in a room, right? For a lot of writers. Hey, great pitch. I love your idea. What's the theme?
Yeah.
How,
I look at it as like, here are cheesy themes that we all have heard of, and it's still valid. And sometimes you can actually reverse these themes. So like, nice guys finish last. That's a universal theme, right? That's what my movie's about. But if I said, hey, I got a movie about nice guys actually finish first, then I'll go, oh, that's an interesting theme. Okay, let's hear it.
all right.
It's about this nerd who falls in love, whatever, if it's a romantic, whatever the genre is. David and Goliath is a theme.
Right.
Love conquers all is a theme.
Monster in the House is a theme.
I'm giving you like the most basic, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
Like what's universal and what's universal about it? Like what's the humanity that connects us all? I don't care if it's a horror movie or a, cheesy sci-fi movie. There's something that, fear could bring us all together in some way, like a circumstance, and that could be thematic. What if your fears, became real, that kind of thing.
Sure. Okay. Grieco, what are you looking for tonight? What are you looking? Can you hear me?
Oh, it's me.
Yeah. What are you looking for in the follow-up pitches tonight?
What's that?
What are you looking for in the follow-up pitches tonight? What are you looking for?
Okay. I guess what Ron said, clarity, focus. Did they take some of the notes and some of the ideas and and kind of correlate it in their own way? You know what I mean? In their own words. I'm looking for more of a. It's the second time around. I'm looking for a little more confidence in their pitch. Less more point A to point B. Also kind of like an idea of like what they as far as a look. I've come from a place too when I produce too.
Oh, nobody wants to see that.
What happened?
Do we lose him? His connection's been goofy all day, so he'll be back. Michael, what are you looking for tonight?
I am looking for, I'd like to hear a very coherent beginning, middle, and end. I'd like to hear some surprises that I didn't expect so that people gin up enthusiasm. I think a little bit of some open interest where I want to ask more questions. I think that's very good. And I think that I would echo Herman's thematic interest or thematic coherence. It's kind of good to see that that's along a spine that makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
And the key element too is remember, you guys are in sales, so sell us. This is a great idea. This is going to make you money. This is going to reach the eyeballs. This is going to weather the long process, the next few hoops. So I think that's kind of what I'm looking for.
Well said. Well said. Okay, so I want to ask you the same theme question, though.
Sure.
What is what does theme mean to you, right? So, and I know that there are the universal definitions of theme. And Herman, you did an amazing job talking about those. But then I just want to follow up with this part of the question, because what does theme mean to you, Michael? And then beyond the typical themes, Herman, I'd like to know what it means to you personally as well. What do you look for in the way the person conveys the theme? So, Michael, what does theme mean to you?
You know, to me, theme means, what did I learn? When I go into a movie and I see a theme, I'm going to learn something from it. Now, I may say, Saving Private Ryan, just came to the top of my head. But what that means is, to me, is the sacrifice of the many for one. Sometimes you don't understand the greater good until later, and the idea of sacrifice. A mother has given 3 sons already to the war, should have 1, I think, to live. And I think it was echoed enormously in the letter that George C. Marshall had memorized, which is a true story, from Abraham Lincoln. So it's what you learn. It's when you leave the theater and you're thinking of that movie a few days later, a week later, a month later. And it's also why everybody on this who's listening can go, that is a great movie. And guess what? I'd watch it again. I've seen it 42 times. I will watch it again, because you get something out of your humanity in the theme of movies. And it's a religious experience in many cases, because you are in a theater with other people that you don't know. You are quiet. You are focused. You are face forward. You are intent. And you are embracing this world for this experience. So that's when I walk out and I go, that was a movie, and God, I'd almost go see it again. You know, that to me is where I find theme.
Well said. Herman, what do you think about that?
I second all of that. So I'm not sure I have room to even add, but I'm going to go down to the basic, because I think when you hear the foundation, you can kind of build and be more creative with your themes, right? But yeah, sometimes I call themes messages, and not in a preachy way, but like one of my favorite movies is Liar Liar. Oh, he's back.
Yeah.
Liar Liar. And when a theme connects to the actual concept in a very direct way, I personally like that. Again, not banging people over the head, but don't lie. What a great theme that is. It's, brings humanity in. And Jim Carrey, because of his son's desire to be with him, and he had like a very troublesome, father-son relationship, is would lie all the time. He was a lawyer.
Right.
And so it's like, what if you could not be who you were if you couldn't lie in that character's, storyline? To me, that's a direct merge of theme and story and concept all coming together in a very funny way. So
I have to point out, though, a friend of mine, they made a good slip as a lawyer, and they actually said to me, well, that's the reason I went to law school. I said, so talk about Freudian slip.
So your theme is the heartbeat of everything, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. The scenario, who the characters are, because if he wasn't a lawyer, I'm not sure you would hit that theme as hard, especially in a comedy, like understanding your genre as well. Like, what if he was a doctor and then, he's lying to pay? I mean, it just doesn't make sense. You gotta make sense to your, with your theme, and how do you best express that theme?
Okay, here's a fun question. These questions are always hit or miss, but it's still going to be fun. Do you guys have any memories of your favorite openers that anybody's ever used on you in any of these pitches? Like your favorite opening line anybody ever hit you with? Grieco, is your connection strong? Are you back? Are you hearing me? We've been having connection issues, me and him, all day today.
What's that?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's been bad all day.
Yeah.
I hear him.
Do you have can you remember like any great openers anybody ever used on you? You get pitched a lot. I know you do. like great sort of icebreakers anybody's ever used on you or anything like that when they just come out of the blue and hit you out of nowhere with something?
So do I have any advice for
no?
someone
Do you
hits me
like?
out of,
Do you
out of left
remember
field?
like any? Do you remember any like great opening
You
like
texted
icebreakers? Hey, huh? Yeah. Yeah, hang on.
I got one.
Text it to him?
Oh,
He's like, just text him and he'll answer because I can hear him. It's mud.
Now Aaron's frozen.
are you? All right, so coming to me.
Yeah. So we'll start with Michael while we wait for Richard.
I remember being in a pitch session, and this guy came in, and everybody said hello and did their bit, and they go, "So what do you got?" And he goes, "Well, I was involved in a bank robbery 3 hours ago," and literally we were all like, "What? What are you talking about?" And indeed, somebody had robbed a bank that he was in, and he had this thing where one of the bank robbers interacted with him, and he, gave him the bag of the money here to like carry it over to the door, and I guess they got away with like 2 or 3 bags of money or something, and then made him lie down on the floor, and that's how he opened up his pitch, and he related it to the story he had of these thieves. The story was about thieves, not bank robbers, but thieves. And he goes, that's kind of the background that this guy would have. And of course, we're sitting there going, it's true, because Los Angeles at the time was the bank robbery capital of the world.
Mm-hmm.
In the number of bank robberies, because of the number of freeways and everything's laid out. And that was one that I still remember. So there you go.
That's a great way to open it.
That's like,
Never mind. Do you have any?
and everything. The guy goes, yeah, I was right down the street on Olympic, and I'm like,
I don't remember a specific one, but the point is taken where if it's a personal story or like a snippet or anecdote for something, like I still want to produce this movie. He's like, do you know, back in 2016, 2 guys asked the judge. By the way, I can share this. This is not like private. 2 guys in 2016 asked the judge to fight because they were suing each other, or one guy was suing the other guy, and they asked for a trial by combat, which still exists in our Constitution. And I said, what? He goes, yes. So my movie's called his movie was called Trial of Champions. I was developing it, so I renamed it Trial by Combat. But I'm like, what? So it's like it's a personal, like a question, or did you know, or some sort of like bit of information that gets me in the world in some way. I think are the best ones, the best icebreakers, because it sounds like a conversation. It's offering information. It makes me go, huh. And I love that stuff. And so if you can find a personal connection to whatever you're pitching, I seem to favor those more often just than some, miscellaneous, like, I've never been on a ship, but I want to do a movie about a ship. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I get it. I'm not saying those are bad, but like if you can find some way, some connection to your personality, to your personal experience, I like those.
I do too. And Christopher Inlow says, hey, I have a story that's never been done before. Seems to be something he hears quite a bit. Christopher, if you weren't here last week, we actually touched on that last week. That is, not only is it something that a lot of people say, it's something that the people you're pitching don't want to hear.
yeah,
Because, as we talked about last week, a lot of times the person you're pitching might have heard 4 similar pitches that day. So it's not that it's never there, it's one of the worst probably openers you could use. So
maybe your version is probably what I've never heard before.
Right.
Yeah.
But what's a common theme and what we talk about and what the advice we try to give members of the brigade is to personalize it. And if you notice just in what Michael and Herman have just the 2 examples they gave, they're both very personal. In fact, most of the great pitches I've ever had that I've walked into and had to pitch started with some sort of crazy something that might not have even be meant as an icebreaker. I had one pitch that I was in I got rear-ended on the way there, and I brought that up, and then it turned into a conversation for him, and that was enough to humanize the room. And once the room was humanized, then it just was a conversation, you know. And we talk a lot about that. So I think that that's probably the best way, the best foot into a pitch is to humanize the room.
Well said. Well said.
Yeah. So
humanize.
Yeah, right. I mean, because what's the biggest thing that's going to make you fuck up a pitch is going to be being intimidated, being nervous, being intimidated by the logo or the suit or or the sheer number of suits that you're sitting across from.
And again, it's a conversation. It's just like if you're going to hang out with someone at a bar or whatever, like, hey man, you know what happened to me?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's that kind of vibe, and I like those. And plus, again, the housekeeping producer, way of thinking, which is not very romantic, by the way. What I'm about to say, it also makes me feel like this is why you're doing this project, and why you deserve to be the voice that tells it. And so it makes sense to me that you should be a part of the whole process.
That's Michael. What do you think about that? That's an interesting point.
I do like that. I think that's very good. I think that they're, in essence, you wouldn't be in the room if there wasn't a cooperative element and a desire to have a productive ends, right? I mean, so you have to kind of come up with some way to say, look, can I draw out the best in this person to make the best project possible? It's not that you can't play devil's advocate with it, but the point is, though, it's the resilience of the story in the mind of the creator that you're really going after. And if somebody I've run into people where I've asked questions like some obscure ones, like, so would this character do this or this? And they had an answer. They said, no. They're the kind that would probably not have a martini. They're more of somebody who would order a Manhattan or something, or whatever it is, And I think just having that, I want to say assurance and belief in their character. And I think you guys both know this. When I was writing my novel, A Cold Death, I had this one character, and when she started speaking, she just kept talking, and I kept writing. But she kept talking, and I kept writing. I needed like an 8-page scene or something. It wound up being like 16 pages, 17 pages. Because she just wanted to talk.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something amazing and magical about that creation where she just has something to say.
Yeah.
And that's having that kind of intimacy and knowledge about and care for your characters is something you can convey with authenticity and excitement and enthusiasm. And all those things are contagious.
That's
They're
right.
very contagious. I've seen people go, oh, yeah, I knew a guy who worked with Spielberg when he was very young, and he was a gaffer. And this guy's like a 50-year-old gaffer. Spielberg's 25 or whatever it was, 24, and he's doing some TV show. And he goes, the weirdest thing was I've been in the business and jaded for a long time, everybody's an idiot. I got this young kid who's so enthusiastic, I got enthusiastic. You kind of renew the spirit.
Michael, that's a good point too. It's you kind of feed off of their enthusiasm. They're excited. And just as a quick wrap up to this section, I really like what you guys said before I came on. I was listening a little bit. Subcultures, and which basically says, I know this is this old adage, write what you know. I mean, but really, to make your voice stand out, and if you think about what you're going to write next, I know it's different because everyone's already written what they are going to pitch, but just kind of a general note. Subcultures are great, a world that I didn't know existed, or a world that I knew existed, but not in the way that you know it existed, how you experienced it.
Yeah.
Going back to making that project personal, and this is why now kind of thing. We always do these kind of one-liners that are annoying, but it really does matter, you know.
It really does. It really does. And something, and then we're going to start bringing the
Let's do it.
guests up here. But an interesting point that I just want to make as a follow-up is, have answers, right? And this is what Michael was saying. Grieco and I talk about this a lot. Herman, you and I have talked about this a lot. When you're pitching a room full of people, you have to know what you want from the people you're pitching, first of all. And you also have to know that it is a give and take, just like any conversation. So when there are questions, the easiest way to lose control of your project is to have one of us ask you a question and your answer is, because at that point, we're now going to start telling you a bit about how to make your project maybe stronger. As opposed to if we say to you, well, why this? For you to be able to very confidently, but not arrogantly, say, well, I did this because, I did this very definitively because this character went through this experience at some point. Even if at the end of it, you say, look, it's a little bit heady to get into, but trust me, there's a motivation. Right? The confidence that you have in yourself, in your ability, in what you're pitching and why you made the creative choices you made goes a long way with me anyway.
Right.
Rather than just saying, well, I just tried to slap something together. So do you guys agree, disagree?
Yes. Yeah, I do.
So Grieco, how's your signal? Are you back? Did you reboot your internet? No, I think he's...
It starts off, it's just...
I see him. I see him and hear him.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
He started off great until you asked.
Right? As soon as I said it.
Maybe,
you know what, George? Just don't ask.
Like
Just...
Safari or something.
And Gunny, you're right. You asking me or telling me which is it? You're absolutely right. So let's see. We got a couple of comments here, and then I'm going to start bringing up our guests. Doug, has anyone ever pitched something and you're like, nah, this is multiple movies, books or TV shows just slapped together? Sure, you always have that. But here's the thing. If somebody's going to work hard to get a pitch and then they're going to go into that room that they worked hard to get into and not put their best foot forward, you can pretty much tell in the first 30 seconds of what they're saying, and they can pretty much tell if you've checked out. So those are few and far between, but I imagine they do happen probably. I'm sure Herman's probably had a lot more experience with that at the level he was working at. And I'm sure Michael has had a lot more experience, and I'm sure Grieco's had a lot of experience with that too. For me, I don't. I have the luxury, I guess, of when I sense that, just cutting people off and saying, you know what, I'd rather hear about something that's yours and original. Let's see. Great opening, Michael. Not many people can use that as an opening, and it literally just happened. The bank robbery one.
Yeah.
Advice I learned from an editor was that there are no new ideas, but there are unique characters and writers. It's not that there are no new ideas, Daniela. It's that there is a finite number of stories, right? There's the man versus man, man versus self, man versus nature. Like there's 7 of them, I think, right? 7 or 8 of them. And there's just different twists and unique approaches and combinations. But when you have 7 of anything, you can make almost an infinite number of combinations and variations.
And it's your voice, it's your take on it too.
That's right.
That's right.
Chuck, nothing's 100% original. What's original does that come from what influences we have and how we create our own place as character. That's exactly what Herman's just saying right now too, Chuck. So Gunny, you asking me or telling me? Yeah, there's some issues going on, some internet issues going on. Actually, we were trying to play some Call of Duty and it was just terrible.
Not Call of Duty.
Yeah, servers were down, Xbox Live was down, Call of Duty servers it was just awful. So it put me in exactly the right kind of hostile mood for tonight's pitches.
Perfect.
Yeah. So let's just touch on that quickly. Hostile environment. When we say that, we do not mean we're going to be throwing things at our screens and swearing at you and stuff like that. But we are not going to go easy on anybody tonight. This is legit. This is exactly, you're getting what you're going to get, and there's not going to be any blowing smoke up your ass tonight. So not that there was last week, but tonight's a little bit more in depth. So I hope you all are ready, buckled up.
Blame Joe.
Blame Joe.
Oh man, poor Joe. He's doing his best.
Oh man.
And then he's back. Let's try it.
No,
All right, your first
I use
victim?
my phone. I guess it's not going on my. I mean, I don't know. Maybe my iPad has got to be. Oh, it probably needs to be updated.
Okay. All right. Let's go. Let's get the number. Let's get the first one up here and get this. Let's kick the tires, man.
All right, we're gonna go with Stephanie since ladies first. Stephanie, give me a thumbs up if you're ready. That's not a thumb.
What's up, Stephanie? How are you?
How are you?
Good evening, everybody. How are you?
Good evening, Stephanie.
Good.
Michael, Herman, Richard, Joe, and George. How you guys doing tonight?
We're doing great. I am doing great. Nobody
I'm
really
doing
cares how Joe's doing.
I do. I care. Legitimately.
Don't lie.
And now there's a public record.
How are you doing? How's your week been since last week? Did you have fun last
Oh
week?
my God. I have about 38 note cards in front of me right now and 4 that I started while you guys were talking. So I'm ready,
All right.
I guess.
Good deal.
I hope.
Good deal. Well, welcome to it.
Tell us
Thank
the
you.
story.
Yeah. What do you got?
The story. Well, I mean, I'm sure you guys have experienced working in service before, like the service industry, like bar, restaurant, grocery, like whatever, and you're dealing with customers. Well, this story is set around dealing with the proverbial Karens that have popped up ever so lovely here in the pandemic of 2020. And while I was working at the Fry, the idea hit me to take care of them in various glorious ways. And some of those have to do with music specifically. Thinking of a kill of someone, my mind kind of goes a little twisted. And for example, one was a sausage lady. She was really upset about the sausage that we had in our low country boil that was too spicy. So I thought, well, why not make her into sausage and feed her to the customers unknowingly. But the kill scene specifically for her is set around the backside of the Fry. I have a dream cast that I want to work with. Dan Yeager, I want to have as my boss specifically so that he can be in this scene with me to break this woman down to the tune of Journey. Love and Touch and Squeezing is the song for her because I think it's appropriate to make someone into sausage. And just from that, the music of the 80s drove me. Slasher movies drove me. That's where I went when I was writing the script. Working at the Fry kind of gave me a lot of content of dealing with these types of people that would be extremely nice to your face in one moment, leave a bad review in the next, come back in, try to be nice, then be rude again. So 6 times there are 6 kills in this film, major kills that I take these types of people out. Hold on 1 second. The fun thing about this is the universe that I've created, I started at the beginning of the year and I started documenting it on specifically Facebook, but I have some things on Instagram where I'm leaving little breadcrumbs and trail of what I'm doing. And if anyone following along is actually following along, they'll be able to put the story together from what I've posted and including songs that I've posted. So I have a lot of a digital trail behind this story specifically from working at the Fry, interacting with customers, interacting with people on my social media, getting feedback from them. Honestly, guys, you guys feed me. Like I get all of my stories from my social media and I use that to tell the story of one woman's descent into madness while working in deplorable conditions that were extremely hot and stressful in the pandemic of 2020.
That should be your first line.
Yeah, I agree.
Beat me to
100%.
Sorry.
I was writing that down and it was at 2 minutes and 49 seconds.
You guys have to understand, this is my first time of doing any of this.
No, that's
You don't
why,
understand
you're here.
anything.
That's why
Yeah,
you're
we do understand. We do.
No, I completely understand. That's why you're here.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I was listening to
So
you,
now tell us about the movie.
yeah,
The movie itself, it's set in present day coronavirus, pandemic 2020, 1980. As the movie starts, it's clearly 2020 pandemic. Everything's going, shit's going down. That's when I got my job at the Fry, and working there. As the film progresses, the madness of the serial killer begins to bleed over into the screen. The aesthetic changes. You can't quite tell if it's 2020 anymore. It's starting to look more like 1980. All of the music, hair, clothing. By the end of the film, it looks like 1980 slasher film. I mean, you won't be able to really discern between where we began and where we ended, because we ended in the 80s, the descent into madness.
is that something that you see happening as a visual transformation throughout? Like, so
Yes.
is that something that I'm gonna? And I'm actually basing this off a question I got on a pitch of mine. Is that something that am I going to be conscious of that, or is that something that? How are you going to do? Are you going to do that through texture, tone, lighting, film stock, film grain? What are the different ways you're going to kind of do that? Like, how are you going to take me on that journey until I end up in the 80s?
All of it: costuming, lighting, music, hair, down to makeup, down to how people's mannerisms. But the 1980s centers around the Fry. So anything that happens outside of that, you will still be able to see the reality of when I go out to hunt, because I do have to hunt a couple of times. I have to run back into those people. And the comedy comes in of how I run into these people.
I thought it was a horror movie.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
I thought it was a horror movie.
It is a horror movie, but it's going to be funny.
And it's
Because
a
it
black
has
comedy. You got black comedy.
Absolutely.
I would. No,
I've
typically,
never seen a black slasher.
if I'm hearing this movie and you're in my office, I would stop you and go, "Well, tell me about the character, because I need to know why is she killing? What? I'm sure there's a scene that she finally had it. I'm sure that starts the whole process. Like, I mean, was she killing before, or just the pressure came in one moment? So tell me about how that happened and who she is.
How the first killing, how it started was, it was a really bad day at the Fry. She's a 44-year-old woman who.
What's her name?
What's her name?
Stephanie.
Okay.
It's me.
Okay.
This is partially my experience and partially my imagination that got us here.
4-year-old woman that's working at this place during the most, fucked up time in our life. Can I say that? Sorry.
Yeah, you can say anything you want.
Cannot stand any more of what happens, and finally she breaks. And how she breaks is she starts to kill all these different types of women. We know them in our society as Karens, I guess. Now, all right, go.
It was a really long day.
George
The phone continued to ring. This woman called back several times. I ended up having to share with her that we were unable to take her order at the time. I was apologetic. I thought it was handled. She then decides to go on Facebook and leave us a nasty review. So in that moment, when my boss shares with me about this review, a light bulb goes off, and I've just had it, because there's so many people that I have dealt with up to that point that have just grated on me. There was a customer that came in and was very upset about the fact that I touched my face one time and I needed to step away because I couldn't make their food. There's a customer that always fussed because we didn't have dessert. He gets fed to death, by the way. Let's see, who else? Sausage lady, obviously, she was upset. So all of it built up. All of those things happened prior to the Facebook review. Like, all of the kills, the majority of them happened, the incidents happened prior to that Facebook review. And that's what set me off. And then going around and running into people later on, like say at the grocery store, I'm driving through in my Fiero, listening to Dr. John, right place, wrong time, as I'm cruising through. it's funny. These songs pop in my head when I imagine killing these people,
So
and that's why they're used.
Is this did you write this already, or is this kind of like a treatment or
I'm kind of in progress right now. You guys really lit a fire under my ass, so I've been writing a lot.
Well, congratulations, and that's fucking amazing to hear.
Thank you.
We've got some stuff to say.
One thing is that I get your enthusiasm is evident, and you obviously have a good touchstone on the feel of the place, and I think
Danielle has a great comedy.
Yeah, and I think you could have some great comedy. I think what's smart is that you actually started from some place where every day at work you are quote unquote doing research.
I can still hear you.
Little pieces that allow you to go, oh, that's an incident, and if I blow it out of proportion, I've got another scene. Now that's very good. So I think you've got some good things. I think I was as far as it's okay I could offer some criticism now.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm just trying to get my timing on our little method here. But indeed, you could see how both Erman and myself jumped out of the screen at 2 minutes and 49 seconds going, that's the opening line. So for about 2 minutes and 49 seconds, I wasn't sure what was going on, quite honestly.
Right.
Now, maybe you're just getting warmed up and a little nervous, and all good. But what I would do is you want to practice this in front of people, and when you start off, you could say, my name is Stephanie, and whatever way you want to do it. My character's name is Stephanie. What a coincidence. And she's a serial killer at this fry. And all of a sudden people will go, was that you or her? What? And it kind of gives us a little funny jolt. But now you're actually in the tone and the theme.
Yeah, she's the Yelp killer.
Yeah, the Yelp killer. Right. Yeah. You got to go, before you die, I'm going to hear you yelp. I mean, maybe there's some, the tone that you get to play with. I don't.
When you give a review, it'll be your last.
That's right. There we go. See, look, Erman's on fire over here. See, this is gold. He's like talking right here.
So for me, I hear a lot of, and I was at the exact same spot as both Michael and Herman with the opening line, and I was taking notes, as I think we all were. I was kind of taking notes with questions. It wasn't until, I don't know, probably a minute and a half in before it was clear you were talking about a horror film.
Yeah.
So my third note is horror film. My first note is service industry, and my fourth note is kills, with the number 6. Once you establish that it's a horror film, it's assumed that there's going to be kills, and it's assumed that those kills are going to be as unique as possible. I in my experience, and I pitch a lot of horror films because that's
your specialty,
right? So when I start talking about the kills, I usually will say something like, and of course all the kills are fucked up like beyond anything you've ever fucking seen, because of course, right? And usually people say, oh yeah, well, what are some of them, And if they want to go into that road, you can.
I would ask that because I like the kills are important to the horror movies that I've done.
Right. And they're always an important part, but I also don't want to, it's like Herman was saying when he was kind of giving you some he was kind of paraphrasing your pitch back to you.
Yeah.
You want to be able to, it's like I was saying before, you want to be able to answer the question. So when it comes time to talk about the kills, have your answers. Be able to have a cursory answer. If somebody wants to dive deep into them, be able to dive deep into them. But you want to be able to convey your story, your characters, and the point of what you're trying to get across. So if you open with that opening line, and then, I love Michael's line, "Hi, my name's Stephanie, and she's a serial killer." I think that's because it throws me right off a little bit. But then go right into this and say, this is a story that starts in the days of COVID-19 and was inspired by when I had to go get a job during quarantine, and with a lot of these what people call Karens, and how they start fucking Facebooking about everything.
You got to define Karens too. Not everybody has the same definition of you. Right. I've heard different ones. So you say a Karen, which is defined as, because now it gives me some context. And if people don't know the term, they're going, so the other person's Karen or Stephanie? And then now they're a little confused.
Right. And I might not even use the term Karen because it's a buzz term.
Yeah,
I might say dissatisfied customer.
It gives us maybe the wrong impression of what you're trying to do. I understand what you're talking about, but you want to be a little bit more universal, because before the Karen's terms have come up, what your story does imply is a bigger universe where there's always people complaining about something. So it's not even Karen's, it's about what does someone do when they've had it, and then there's these people who come into this place and give you bad reviews. It's a hyper reality of what a lot of us would probably want to do. But this character actually takes that step and says, I want to fucking kill him. Because we normally say, oh my God, I want to kill that guy. But we don't do it. Well, Stephanie does in my movie.
Right.
But
and the other important thing is you're setting it in a world. I mean, the way that you've made this restaurant out, it sounds like there's nothing but horrible customers. So I'm sure not every customer who comes into the place through the movie is going to be somebody who's worthy of dying. So, how is this set against almost the normalcy of it as well?
I guess my only advice is not more about the pitch, although I think everyone said some wonderful things. I don't know what you've written on it already. What I would do as an exercise is write it out. I'm not even sure to write the pitch out. Just write your story out. It doesn't have to look pretty. Just write your story out. Write like 2 or 3 lines of who Stephanie is. Just write it all out. What happens in the beginning, what happens in the middle, what happens in the end. And then from that, you can extract what the pitch should be.
Yeah.
Because you're going to stumble if you're trying to pitch and develop.
And there's references to like going from 1980 to 2020 and going back and forth, and that has to be, I think, handled very carefully and deftly, because people start getting in their brains going, okay, now we're in time travel, and you want to avoid some sense of confusion, because we're actually focused on what you're saying. Yeah. I mean, I've had executives like looking through catalogs while I'm pitching them. You're like, are you kidding me? But they do, people do stuff where they're distracted, or as like Cameron was saying earlier, like they got in a big argument, now they're in the room. Great.
It's like what, we're talking about themes, like what happened, it's basically, I'm trying to connect the humanity here, because that's going to connect no matter everybody, execs, agents, managers, whoever you're pitching. We all have a feeling at some point, or maybe more often than others, or than not, of this guy, this girl, driving this, but everyone's always annoying us, right? So you're tapping into a social phenomenon.
Joe annoys the shit out of me.
Yeah,
Joe annoys the shit out of everybody.
So you can make a horror movie out of that, because you're just, in a sick, dark way, you're providing wish fulfillment.
Yeah, very much so.
It's like falling down with more blood.
Yes.
And there you go. That's something that that's a great line to work into your pitch.
And I'm a girl, so
I would focus on all that and write it all out first. Yep. And then extract what you think you should pitch that makes it, fun to listen to. And I would use less of I think you can start off personal, but the whole thing is not it's this character. Right. It's named Stephanie, that even though it's the same name, I would just
have to remember that.
Yeah, because a lot of times you're going to be, and then we'll end on this one. A lot of times you'll be in conference rooms, business meetings, buildings full of people who don't know how to take the sense of humor, right? And so if you make them genuinely too uncomfortable, that's not necessarily a good thing.
Yeah, I've seen some people that show up with like pitching horror movies with like big knives, and I'm telling you, there's like some people don't take that the right way.
Yeah.
You definitely don't pitch John Milius that. He carries a 45. So
exactly. So yeah, so be conscious of your audience, be conscious of how you present yourself, and be conscious of how you present your idea, and make sure that there is enough separation there. You're an artist, but you're also there to talk the business of your art.
Thank
Good.
you. Thank you,
Yeah,
guys.
thank you, Stephanie. Awesome job. Yeah,
Good job, man.
yeah.
We're
Okay.
going to move on to the next person, if we may. Sorry, we're at 10:20 right now. Oh, what? You didn't even give me a chance to drop you down.
Well, I'm nervous.
Boom.
Bye, Stephanie.
I was kidding with her, but she knows I was kidding with her.
Moving right along. We saying fancy.
Ken, just so you know, I can see you down in the lobby, Ken, if you can hear me. When you guys are down in the lobby, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Ken, yeah, we can see you, buddy. All right. I believe Sam is next. Sam, I am Mason. You guys ready?
Ready.
Good.
Sam, you good? Mr. Mason.
Boom.
What's going on, gentlemen? Glad to be back.
Hey,
Look at
Sam.
this guy.
Hey, Sam.
You
I
look
really
good, man.
appreciate the opportunity, and you guys gave some really great advice before we came on today and also last week, and I made a whole lot of notes on that, so hopefully I'm prepared.
Love it. Love it.
So
Kill it, brother. We'll give you the cue line. You ready?
whenever you're ready, brother.
What do you got?
My film is called Normal Terror. It's a psychological horror film. I'm calling it a psychological gore because the duality of the characters really makes a difference in how this character reacts to the world around him. The character's name is Sam Neill, and the reason I use Neil as his last name is because most people, when they're getting ready to die a horrible death, kneel and they pray. So I wanted to make sure that was kind of played into how I developed this character. So each one of the kills is different. As I explained last week, there's about a 7.5 minute, 8 minute gap between each kill and the father-son reaction time. And I did that for multiple reasons. Looking at the psychology of serial killers, most people don't realize they're a serial killer until they're caught. And so looking at that psychology, they're your average Joe. They're an everyday normal person that you would see on the street and wave to and say, hey, how you doing? So that was one of the things I took into account when I was putting this together. And just so you guys know, this is already written and is in production. I have about 30% in the can currently. So, this is a process that I'm already going through. So, but as far as the character itself goes, I named each one of the kills something different because one of the questions asked last week is, why does he do it and what types of kills are there? And so, does he attack women? Does he attack men? Is it, based on any particular thing? And so most of it is a moment of opportunity. This is a guy who is attempting to raise his son with a good morality in the world and become a successful human being, while at the same time he's having his own inner struggles and demons that he's battling with. And some people go to the gym to relieve their stress. Some people pick up a paint pen and do acrylic paints and art. There's a lot of different reasons or things that people do to relieve their stress. So my character in particular kills to relieve his stress, ultimately. Now, he does have a reason why he kills everybody, and they are selected for specific reasons, which I will go into, not in such a public forum, because I don't want to give away the story and the twist to it.
Sure.
But each one of the kills also has a comical, dark humor name to it. One of them is a little bubbly who dies by drowning. One of them is sanding delicately, where I take off his skin with a belt sander. Some of it is very excruciating. And the reason I came up with these types of kills is because when I was younger, I was getting high with a friend of mine. That's one of the things we used to do. And we would sit there and we would talk about some of the most horrific ways to die and what would be the reasons to pursue some of those deaths if we were able to. I think everybody has the ability to kill under the right circumstances. I'm a vet. I'm sorry.
I like all what you just said right now. By the way, like thinking of. Sorry, I'm just interrupting because this is what I would normally do. By the way,
That's right.
All the different ways that someone can die and how these two guys just hung out and thought about that. That's a cool. And then all of us, provided the right opportunity, could probably kill. Those two things to me are very interesting, and they're very thematic, and they're very, again, goes back into tapping into humanity and like kind of our dark secrets. And so I think there's an opportunity to weave that in somewhere to set up your pitch, perhaps.
Okay. I can appreciate that.
That's good advice. That's good advice. And what I like about it is you did interrupt him. So now you get that joy of us saying, okay, go ahead, pick up where you left off.
Some of the other questions that were asked was why does he kill? Does he enjoy it and things like that? I don't necessarily think he enjoys it to the psychological degree that most killers would in a film. This is something that he does to kind of relieve that pressure in his life that he doesn't really have any other outlet, because he is a single father of a teenage son. And his kid is at the point in life where these next few years are most detrimental in his development to him becoming a productive member of society. And
what sets him out? What makes him different than any other single father who's got stresses and financial? Like why do some people don't kill, but your character does? Like, I'm interested in what
he doesn't.
That switch.
Right. He doesn't have the filter that everybody else does. Basically the same thing with the reason I'm not a serial killer, you're not a serial killer, because given the right circumstances, we all have that capability. If someone was to hurt someone we cared about, our first reaction is we want to hurt them back. Right. So he doesn't have that filter.
We have that kind of thing that stops us. So can you imagine?
We have that conscience, correct.
So can you imagine if somebody that we encounter doesn't? Like, that's another opening going, we all have the impulses of hurting people. I know, but we don't. Well, I want you to meet, what's your character's name again?
Sam Neill.
Sam, I want you to meet Sam Neill because he doesn't. Like, what? Yes. He's a single father. And so now I know he has that missing thing. So now I bought into the world. Now you can tell me all about you set me up in the right way, the macro to micro, the context of it. Because then now I'm going, holy shit.
Yeah. And then you can move into the kills, and then you can come back and introduce the child as that thing that he's hoping to restore his humanity, as that switch that helps him turn it off. So I think that's a really good introduction that Herman just helped you, that he just kind of threw out, and then to kind of go into why he kills, and then go into the fact of what makes this a unique story is the fact that his child is what he is hoping is going to pull him back, because just like you said in the beginning, you don't know serial killers are serial killers until they're caught. Most serial killers, from what I've read, would have loved to have found something that allowed them to turn it off at some point.
I love that, by the way.
Well, and there's a psychological aspect to this character that allows him to turn that off. And in one particular sequence, what I wrote out was that he has an alarm set on his phone that, okay, it's 3:00. It's time to go pick up my son from school. And so he's in the middle of a kill and has to shut it off in order to go back to his normal life. So I do set that up in the psychological aspect and how that's explained.
What's it called again?
What's that?
What's it called again?
The film?
The title, yeah.
It's called Normal Terror.
Oh, Normal Terror.
Right.
Now, Michael, there's a kid in this. How is that going to work with this happens a lot too. So Michael, now there's a kid in this. I mean, that means we're going to have to worry about budgeting for working with a minor. We're going to have to, I mean, how does that even fit in with what we're trying to do here? I mean,
for the most part, in terms of if you're working with somebody in the Screen Actors Guild, they defer to California law on minors, and that tends to be fairly stringent, and I think it's wise to be stringent. I do think that the absolute worst words you want to hear in regards to this are, will Sam, the defendant, please rise as we take you to trial about the injury for this child? So this is the most cautionary words I always say to a producer if they want to skimp it anyway on that. I think making him a teenager is better because you might get 16 that cast for 13, which is always a benefit in terms of work hours, as well as the psychological impact, of whatever degree is going to, have to be explained to them. I think, what state are you in?
California. I'm in LA.
Okay. Well, then, you want to make sure that whatever is adhered to regarding their work hours and all that sort of thing is scrupulous. You just don't want this blowing back on you. So that's one thing also very important.
In response to that, I'm actually using my own son as the son of the killer, and I'm actually playing the killer himself. So that organic feel between my son and I is going to, I think, help take this from a campy, cheesy, over-rehearsed dialogue to something that you can really feel, because it is my son and I talking.
And I hope you make a lot of money so you can afford therapy later.
He actually, the character doesn't actually see his father killed.
Okay, I meant that obviously in jest there,
but honestly, you did a great job reeling that back, Sam. I literally just threw that question out to Michael in the middle because, again, that's something I've run into in pitches.
Yeah,
where somebody at the studio will say, well, I'm going to have to get extra town cars for this one. How's that going to fit in with blah, blah, blah? And then they look back at you when they're done with their back and forth, and they go, sorry, where were you?
Yeah, happens a bunch. To jump, I had a couple notes here on the story, and I just had a question. When you've referred a number of times to the psychological explanations with the Sam Neill, and I think of a way where you could take let's just go with Hitchcock, because he's one of the most superb masters of suspense, which kind of seems like you're into some degree of suspense as well. And you have to figure out a way where you take the psychological and make it visual. And if you have these triggers, I'm thinking, and there's X number of kills in the story, is there one and the same trigger, or could there be multiple triggers that intrigue the audience and that at the very end add up to something a little bit more? Like he is almost on his psychological journey trying to stop and figuring out the triggers. And for some reason, I almost want him to say, hey, Dad, why, your son's there now. You pick up your son and you go, hey, Dad, you seem always agitated after you just listened to Black Sabbath. There's one trigger. Or when you were over here, you were agitated. And the son almost can pick up in this interesting, intimate counterpoint, trying to help his dad, and go through this kind of weave. Now the father, if you think about it, is going to say, well, geez, son, you're my closest person here, and you know me better than anybody. And he's bringing up a very valid observation. Right. And, the father's thinking, God, I got a smart kid here, and he sees this agitation in me, which, of course, goes back to the idea that he'd like to stop because of his son, and his son may help him stop. Now you actually have this kind of rhythm, almost musical, between that, and when you have a little bit of a whodunit, or not a whodunit, but a mystery about why these triggers, and people are at the end going, well, what's the next trigger? See, now you got a cliffhanger. You got 6 or 7 cliffhangers building up, and there might be some reveal at the end where it's whatever your choice is, where his son makes the observation and he is able to stop and have a life with his son. And if that's the case, I would absolutely look at these kind of beats in the movie where you are now having a highly structured, but the audience, film, but the audience will have a certain, there's that moment in the audience where if you actually surprise them at the end, they're like, oh shit, I didn't know. Yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But if you actually plant it and pay it off very smartly throughout, the audience will know that the solution was right in front of them all this time. And they do this great thing where they slap their head and go, of course that was it. You got me. But they're incredibly satisfied with that emotional response. So I think you have a spine of a story that's how it strikes me. That could have considerable, particularly horror film potential as being like, damn, that was a smartly done, unique kind of vibe.
Agreed.
One of the things that I'm doing with this as well is that there's no cops or investigations involved in this first film. I'm setting it up as a trilogy where the next couple of parts, feed into the story and explain some of the stuff that you missed in the first one. So, I'm sorry?
I know you wrote it. I know you wrote it already and you're shooting it, but I just want to throw this out. One of the things I really do like, kind of jumping off of what Michael said, who is very literate in terms of what his advice is, which I appreciate. He sounds like a writer. I'm coming from a little more high concept, ho-ish, which they both work together because he's providing execution and I'm providing kind of a different. The other side to that coin is I love I like the title since it's normal terror, right?
Mm-hmm.
I love how that could be explored because you mentioned earlier that he has to time himself to stop. Like to them, for us, we wake up, we have coffee, we set our times to wake up to go to work. This guy is doing it in a normal way to commit murder.
Right.
To me, that's a hook, as we say. It's a hook, and you have the title there, and so I should be seeing that. Where I'm going, holy shit! Like a normal day for him, he's so matter of fact about it, And yes, what Michael said, he's also trying to undo it, and that you can, the sun could be a device to get to that resolution. But for me, I just love how, in the beginning, this is just me. This is the bad idea.
No, it's great, and this is great advice. You open up, you see a guy timing this, timing that. You don't know what he's doing. For all you know, he's going to go for a jog. What you're really doing, or what we're really going to see, is he commit murder, and then he clicks the next great. So it's part of his daily life, and then the title comes up, normal terror. Yeah,
because he's normalizing it. Just what the title's implying. I haven't read the script, so I could be completely off base, but to me, that's how I'm thinking, and that's kind of a hot idea. Anyway, that's what I want to say.
Yeah, no, and I think that's good advice from both those guys, and I hope you dig it, Sam. We got two more to get through. So thank you, brother, for coming on tonight and doing this again. Man. And I hope
appreciate the time. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. I hope you got some good stuff out of it.
Very much.
How's the signal? Hey, you look good. You look solid. You hear me?
Yeah, I got it worked out because apparently Safari hates StreamYard. So Google Chrome likes StreamYard.
Okay.
Yes.
So I don't know. Why.
All right. Good to know.
So you're here. Right. We hear you.
So I figured it out.
Awesome.
And now he can take the other two.
All right. Here we go. Who's next? Sean.
Pressure's on, Richard.
Sean Smithson. How are you feeling today?
Good. How are you all doing?
Good, man. Good. I see you're in the shop. You're in your environment. It's good to see you, brother.
Yep. You too.
All right. Hopefully you got some good stuff out of last week. So we're going to give you the cue. And what do you got?
All right. So as you know, this story, The Devil in the Box, we all have a different side of us that we do stuff that we didn't want to do, but we have we've wronged somebody or something, and we want to put that devil back or put it away. So it's kind of like putting the devil in the box and then moving on and being a better person. So this story is turned into where the start of it is early 2020, and there's a family, their grandfather's dying, and his last words are the box. That's basically all he can say. And then their 16-year-old kid at the funeral or the wake ends up going down to the basement and finding a box underneath all this tarp-covered stuff, and ends up pulling the box out from underneath the Scotch cabinet that he's going to pull a glass out of and drink, and ends up dropping a decanter on the ground, slices his thumb, and the blood running from his thumb that he can't stop from bleeding, but the box still intrigues him, so he pulls it out, and then ends up from the blood running across the lid is what opens up the box, and then he sees an immediate flashback of the backstory of how the devil got into the box. And then from there, I was going to go with the flashback, with it being the late 17th century, and Jebediah is trying to save his family because the magistrate is going to accuse his wife and daughter of witchcraft. So he tries to leave the colony and ends up at a cabin, and ends up being the devil who says that he can save him. And the only thing he has to do is agree to his terms that he and his blood descendants will be bound through him and his rules. And then he agrees, of course, and the townspeople come and find him. He kicks out the child and the wife, and they are taken away and accused of witchcraft and killed in the way that witches were back in the day. And as he drops to his knees, he gets a splinter on a table and knocks over a box that lands in front of him, and he recognizes a symbol of the devil's trap. And so he opens it, traps the devil, and so once the devil's trapped, the devil's not happy about being trapped for hundreds of years. And
kind of pisses the guy off, huh?
What's that?
Kind of pisses the guy off, huh?
Yeah, pisses him off. So, so then back to recent time, what happens is the devil, once the teenage son opens the box, the devil exacts revenge on the family, because everybody in the bloodline is who the devil's after now, as he tries, and everybody who's trapped in the house and through the bloodline dies in a certain way. That, like, let's say, I was thinking Tiffany Shepis plays a real estate agent, but sells houses to people who can't afford it, and screws these people over. I was thinking a father like Scott Schiaffo is a principal, but he likes messing with children's heads. So the devil kills him in a way that messes with his head. And the devil I was always thinking was Kane Hodder, because I know he has always mentioned that he would love to play a devil, or Michael Berryman. I know that cast would get a little bit expensive.
So I'm going to cut you off, Sean. Here's what I'm hearing, and here's what I think would be an excellent opener for your pitch. If I was pitching Devil in the Box, I would walk in the room and I would say, what happens when the devil takes revenge on you for a deal your ancestors made?
I like that.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
very succinct.
My original idea was not all boxes are meant to be opened.
Right, and that's a great tagline.
But that's a tagline.
But when you're walking into a pitch, you want to snag everybody's attention. And if you walk in with a story like you just laid out to me, here's how I would present this. And and now we've got Mr. Richard Grieco back, so we're going to get into him here too. What happens when the devil takes revenge on you for a deal your ancestors made? This Devil in the Box is a horror film that starts out in 2020 when everything seems to be going great for a family off on a family celebration. Then we bounce back to the 17th century where we find out the roots of a Faustian deal that went bad. And I'm kind of paraphrasing because I don't have all the details. But then, I would just kind of say, just hit on them as points. But you want to get that hook. You want to get people intrigued. And by walking into a room and saying, what happens if the devil what happens if the devil comes after you for something your great grandfather did? That's an even faster way to say it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now we're all intrigued, right?
Okay.
What do you guys think about that? Grieco, you want to take this first? Or you?
Yeah, actually, Sean, exactly what Romero said. When you start going into like different parts of the story and different parts of the script, and you're here. I mean, basically, let's say hypothetically, they gave you have 20 minutes in a room or 10 minutes in a room. Basically, you could lose them in the first minute.
Yeah.
You really get, I mean, it's like anything. It's like, I know it's a cliche, but that first impression of you walking in the room and your first, after you say your cordials and how you doing, this and that, blah, blah, blah. So this is how it goes. And what George's analogy of it was great. I think you got to catch them really quick because they'll get bored like that. They just do.
Yep.
And then it might help you because I don't think you're the type of person that likes to sit down. Like if it helps you, just stand up. When you sit down, I like to stand up in a room and kind of go over it instead of sitting here like this. But get your points across that you want to convey. Don't go into like tangents, like because last week you said it was the 18th century.
Yeah.
So if this is your second pitch, and those same people. Well, we were founded in 1776, so how far is it going to go back? So now we're in the 1700s. Why would it be in the 1700s now and not the 1800s?
Okay. Yeah, doing a little research.
You might get someone that's actually smart in a room that might write that down.
I wrote it down.
Yeah, you
right.
want to be consistent with certain things like
So
that.
be consistent with what you said before. It's almost like because nobody in this room gave you a note about the year. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I don't know why that stuck out for me. Now it's 1700s. It just did, and it kind of threw me that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Going toward the witchcraft, bringing the witchcraft up.
Yeah, and you guys got to bring it back. You just got to basically wrangle it back in. If you see, It's like a horse. You just got to wrangle it back in. You know what I mean? And stay on that course because you got a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Yeah.
Same with the pitch. You got a beginning, and that middle part, you really got to go for that crescendo so you can bring it down nice and easy. And then you got them.
That's excellent advice.
That first minute you got in there, Sean, is the most important, impeccable. It's paramount.
Yeah.
Paramount.
And for me, that's, what happens when the devil takes revenge on your son for something your great granddad did. This is the story of how little Timmy ended up fighting the devil who's been trapped in a box since 1762.
Yeah.
And now you're into it. I'm into it. Why is the devil trapped in a box? All of that stuff. So,
why that year?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Why?
That raises the question, right?
That year now.
Yeah. So
okay.
Because you can't go back too far in the 1700s.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah.
Good. All right. Listen, we're here for you, brother. We're here for you. We'll help you through it, man.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Awesome advice.
Good job, Sean.
Yeah, really good job, actually, in including everything that we talked about last week.
I think it's potentially a fun story, a fun horror.
I do too.
There was a couple tidbits I just want to mention. One is that what stuck in my mind is when these people are going through the last time you started off with, like, they were fleeing through the forest, and to me, that I think I wrote you a note going, what I want to do is flip something like that on my head, in my head, because I wanted it to go, you might think a family is fleeing through the forest, but what they are doing is using their 10-year-old son to draw the devil into a trap. And now you've kind of flipped it, and you're like, wow, they're doing what? And whatever way you want to use that, but that's what I remembered from your pitch.
Yeah.
That to me was a way to kind of turn it in a way. The other part was you started to get very specific on details and movements and moments. And that I think is very dangerous because now people get confused. I find if you do broad strokes and then dive once or twice into a detail of a moment that's pivotal to the plot, like the blood dripping on the box, has some significance. So that's something that you use as a memorable trigger. And so, that's kind of the one part I think is very important.
He's right. He's right. Michael's right, because I thought you were going to go. Michael, did you think this too? He was going to go. Do you remember Hellboy?
Yeah.
To where they cut the guy's head off and the blood went around the maze like this and brought out the devil.
I was thinking something like that, and I was like, okay, it was unfulfilled then, Yeah.
Just a really quick tidbit. Again, I don't know how the rest of the story plays out, but what I started to think about when you said the devil was coming after certain people because of they did certain things, it was almost like, am I rooting for the devil at this point? But also, I want to know how and why does he choose to kill them that way, which could be a fun, high concept. Again, you've heard from the other callers today that I always trying to figure out what's the hook and what's the high concept premise that excites whoever you're pitching to. So when you mentioned that, I perked up and go, huh? Is there a fun way to have the devil go after you? Again, there's tons of pitches where you're like, oh, it's just your fear, or it's I did a movie called Karma, which was like you do something and karma's a deadly bitch, So I understand that, but if there's a way to kind of package it that way in terms of the concept, I think it could be fun.
I
gotta be rude producer.
Okay, I just got to say one thing.
Yeah,
I'm not in favor of people actually saying, "Here's the actors I would cast." I don't know.
I'm not in favor of that either.
Yeah, don't do that, and because I don't know. I know Kane Hodder because everybody knows Kane Hodder, but he's been in like 600 movies. But I literally was in a pitch. I told the guy not to mention casting. He mentions casting. He mentions this actor. The guy that we're pitching over at Universal just looks at us with the deadest look on his face, and he goes, "That asshole is the one who hit on my fiance and offering her cocaine at a party. Fuck him." And I never saw a pitch go sideways so fast.
If they ask you, then of course.
If they ask and they want to hear, but I'm just telling you, that was and nobody if they don't know the people, you're in trouble because now they're like, I don't know.
Yeah, you're the writer and the storyteller. You're not doing my job or a casting director's job. And if you do have some ideas, keep them close. And if they ask you, you'll be ready.
Yeah, right. But ultimately, the sales company and the people financing it are going to have a considerable say over who's cast anyway.
So, guys, thank you so much, Sean. Thank you again, brother.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Sean.
Everybody.
Thanks, guys. Sadly, I really feel bad about this one because Jack is our last guy, but we are out of time and we are not going to be able to have get to the last one tonight. We will make it up to you, Jack. I promise.
Yes, Jack.
This is also a part of the pitch process. So I hope you understand. I thank you for your patience and we will make it up to you, brother. And gentlemen, Michael, Herman, Grieco, brother.
Great seeing you guys.
Thank you so much for coming tonight.
Nice
Thank
to
you.
meet you guys again, man.
Yeah. Let me know if maybe you guys feel like coming back again next week.
Oh, yeah.
We'll figure it out and we'll make it up to Jack.
That sounds great.
Thank you, guys.
All right, guys.
All right. Sorry, Jack. You ready?
I am ready.
That was a great show. That was a great session. I'm really happy for everybody. I hope everybody got some great stuff out of this. And Jack will make it up to you, brother. Everybody out there, thank you, all the outlaws, for spending a Friday night with us. Stay tuned for David Madison, end of the night. And as always, fuck off till next time. To be an indie means we buck a system that doesn't want us. To be a fringe filmmaker means we don't do it for them. We do it for ourselves. To be an outlaw on the fringe means we'll die before we fail. Be an outlaw.
Ridgely.
Mr. Madison, how are you, sir?
I'm very well. How are you?
I am great. Thank you for asking.
Why are you great?
Would you prefer me not to be?
I would. I am super. You have no idea how happy I am to hear that you are great.
Well, thank
But
you.
usually, generally, people have a reason for being great. Otherwise,
Because
they're just
on screen. I'm on screen with you right now, and
There you go.
I know what's coming up tonight.
Don't be so sure. You never know what the hell's going to happen on this crazy train wreck of a show. But I got a question for you. Is Jack still? Hi, Sean. Hi, Morbid. Is Jack still in the green room? Hello,
Hey.
Mr. Hunter. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, man. Just chilling, dude. I was locked and loaded, and then boom. But like, it's the business. It's the business.
It's a now. Just chillax for a second.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen what happened, and sadly, those things happen. And I'm sure George and the boys will love to hear your pitch. But at the very least, give me a 90-second version of what you want to work on, and perhaps me and you can make this movie happen.
Okay. Okay. Well, we pause before we get there. What do you mean the pit? Like the idea for this?
Yeah, just give me 90 seconds. If I was to say, Jack, you got 90 seconds to tell me what your project is like and what it's about, what would you say?
Jacob's Ladder meets Scream.
Okay.
I know it's totally different than what I originally talked about last week, but I literally took every single thing that they told me, and I put it into the story and to the way that it would come across as not your ordinary slasher film of a whodunit mystery. And I think it really, in my personal opinion, sets it apart, from a lot of things.
Absolutely. I heard your pitch last week to them. I thought it sounded like a really, really good idea. And when you get to pitch it to those guys, there are some brilliant guys in that room. They're going to give you feedback. But don't be down because you didn't do it tonight.
No.
I'm sure the guys will have you back on. And I'll be more than happy to have a phone call with you one day, and we'll see if maybe we could work on something together.
Awesome. Yeah, man. That sounds like a damn good idea. I'm totally down.
Absolutely. This is Libby McDermott's
Totally.
film, Dead Woman's Hollow. So that's why Matt said I have good taste in shirts. And yes, I do. So, Jack, how are you doing otherwise, my friend?
Yes, sir. I'm doing good. I'm just chilling. I'm going to be buying my new camera in September. I was going to buy it the other day, but with budget and everything else, I figured September would be a good thing. I'm going to buy a Panasonic Lumix GH5.
GH5, it's a great camera. In that price range, I would go for the Sony A7, but I'm sure you did your homework. And whenever you want to talk or hang out, give me a holler. Jack, it was great seeing you, pal.
Bye, guys.
Take care, pal. It broke my heart that he didn't get to do his pitch tonight. And I understand there's time constraints. And I wanted to at least let him, if he was waiting around, get to say hello to everybody.
That's awesome. Probably greatly appreciated.
Yes. So, wait. I was thrown off track because I don't know what the hell I'm doing half the time.
Everybody's talking about your great taste in shirts. So,
oh, yes. Yes. I was actually honored to be in the sequel of this movie. So there you go. I want to do a short segment before we bring out the amazingly talented and wonderful Mr. Sagoes. I'm going to tell everybody beforehand that Mr. Sagoes is at a film festival in Chicago, and he is in a hotel. And he was more than kind and generous to allow to try and chime in with us tonight. But we all have to understand beforehand he may not have the best connection. So we'll chat with Ken in a few minutes. Who knows if Uncle Scott pops in. On this show, you just never know what kind of crazy shenanigans. Oh, there he is. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Scott Schiaffo. Hello, Mr. Schiaffo. How are you?
I took him off guard. Sorry.
What?
That's all right. That's all right. Good to see you.
How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. How are you doing tonight, man?
I am beyond thrilled because, as you know, over the last week, we got a whole bunch of new reviews for Wits End, and people are really, really saying wonderful things about it, and I'm super thrilled. Another thing I want to bring up, Mr. Smithson, you're casting a movie. You're using the legend. You want to use the legendary Scott Schiaffo. I get it. But Tiffany Shepis, really? I was going to literally make that movie with you until you said, I want to cast Tiffany Shepis in it. Went right out the window then. And Kane Hodder as Kane Hodder? You could have had Dave Madison. What are you thinking, Sean? What are you thinking? Could have made a masterpiece of cinema. Joe, what are you doing? It looks like you're doing your homework or something over there. You're like, carry the 3, round out to the nearest 10.
I was using my abacus, man. Come on, I'm showing my age. It's like, sorry.
It's quite all right. Mr. Schiaffo, are you familiar with Ken Sagoes? Have you ever met him at a con or a show before?
I have not, but I'm familiar with his some of his work for sure. And he has a really interesting career. He's done quite a lot of diverse films, really.
Yeah, he's a great guy and a wonderful actor. And are you tired, or can you hang around for a little bit later in the show, Mr. Schiaffo?
No, I definitely want to see Ken, and I will be here if you want to pop me back in for a fun recap. I'm always around.
All right, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Schiaffo. Uncle Scott will join us back in a few minutes.
I'll give you more warning next time, Scott.
No problem.
Well, I see Ken down there, but I don't see a picture. So
I don't understand what you mean.
I don't.
I want to ask you something. I figured out a way for people to be interviewed on this show via telephone.
You have?
Yes. Now, if we have a terrible problem with Ken's video, can we just put up like a picture of him and we will talk to him via telephone?
You could always stop the camera and just use audio if that would help the internet connection.
Oh, well, there you go. So do you think we should pull him up?
He's gone.
Oh, he's gone.
It's gone.
It's gone. That's
oh,
totally
wait.
not good.
Hold up. Hold on a second. I mean, it's not even strong enough for me to even pull him up right now. It's saying device not connected.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, hold on. Ken, can you hear us? I don't think it's...
Ken, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Sagoes, can you hear us? Ain't looking good, eh?
I was able to see him before, and he had earphones on, and
he was all ready. He's just having, I think because he's in a hotel, he's having a hard time.
Right. I don't know if he's able to hear us. Yeah, unfortunately.
So what do you think? You think we should try and give him a call?
Sure.
All right. Here's what I need you to do. I need you to put Uncle Scott back on. And I need you and Uncle Scott to carry the show for 30 seconds so I could set this up. You think you could do it?
Wait a second.
Now.
Oh, there he is. Ken, can you hear us?
Man, I had a hard
Can you hear us, Ken?
time getting to you guys. How are you?
We're very well, Ken. Should we ask Ken to perhaps turn off his video and see if it just works better with audio?
Hey,
that's completely
now.
We hear you pretty good.
Your picture's frozen. And I don't know if you can hear us still.
Can you hear us, Ken? Come on, Kincaid! Is he fighting Freddy? Is that what the problem
I
is
don't
right
look
now?
at that look at that smile though.
Well, there he is. We have him. He's like,
I'm not.
He's got that $1 million smile.
He is one of the nicest and kindest.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Sadly, Ken, you are very choppy, and we're
He
having
lost connection. That wasn't us.
No, okay. So, do you want to try the phone call? You want to do something crazy?
So
All
what
right.
are we gonna do
See,
now?
I got to stand up in a minute, and I don't want everybody to see me in my freaking underwear. So, you spend 30 seconds with Scott. You could keep my mic live, and I will tell you when we're ready to roll.
I'm just more intrigued by, I've never seen your earbud drag along the side of you. You're always so.
I have a new. Remember last week I had a limp cable? I had to get a new cable, but it's shorter. So it doesn't go all the way around in the back and all that jazz.
So instead of a limp cable, you have a shorter cable.
Yes.
All right. Fair enough.
Talk to Scott about his book for 30 seconds. He'll chew your ear.
I would love to talk to Scott about his book.
Wait, is Ken? Are we trying Ken again?
I didn't even do that.
Oh. He has his own magical powers.
Come on, Ken.
I'm actually kind of juiced to see if the phone thing would actually work.
All right, I'm gonna
You know
drop.
what you might be able to do if I make a quick.
David,
Ken.
Joe, Scott, anyone in the house?
Ken.
Ken, can you hear us?
Hello?
Yes.
Hi, Ken. Can you hear us?
Ken?
Can you hear me?
We can hear
Hear me
you.
now?
Scott,
I
no
can hear you
brain
now.
hemorrhages. I can hear you.
I can hear you now.
You're very choppy, sir. Very choppy. You're like Max Headroom
Can you hear me
and
now?
choppy.
Yes, we can hear you.
Ken, what you got to do is you got to lift the laptop up, raise one hand up in the air, and
That's that pretty shit.
Did you say frig this shit?
I thought he said British.
It sounds like British shit, yes.
British shit.
Yeah. Put me off the screen for literally 30 seconds, Joe.
All right, we'll do.
Did that when I was a kid back in the country. Hey,
There he is.
It's like we're on the. We got a can and the string.
what the hell trying to get on here?
I think David's trying to call you right now, Ken.
Can you hear me?
So barely, but David's trying to call you. I'm going to drop you back down into the lobby for a moment and see what David has planned.
I bet you he's going to go do some friends.
I'd love to hear that whole sentence because
That's what it is.
I'm going to drop you down for 1 second. David's trying to call you. David's calling you.
Hey, Joe,
Yes.
what if Ken and Dave established a really good phone connection and Dave put him on speakerphone?
That could work. But while they're figuring that out, so Scott, talk to us, brother.
Hey. Oh man, what I could say is I'm just super excited to get my hands on a physical proof. That's what we're waiting for now. A physical proof from Amazon so we could proof the artwork in the booklet. And then once that's a go, then the whole thing's a go. And you know, the Meanie Man is just he's just a genius, man. He's working on some other multimedia things with me that we probably are going to do a sister video thing with putting his images to audio, putting his images to spoken word as well as to music, and he might sort of do a mini version of the book as a film, but primarily with still art and possibly some rotoscope film. The guys, I mean, I'm just so excited. I can't wait. It's he's taken it to a place. He did it the first time with the book, for the printed book. It's minimal what he did for the first book, but amazing. But yeah, okay, I don't want to dominate.
No. Yeah, well, hold on. I agree. I mean, and his artwork and your friggin' poetry and everything. Everybody is very excited about this, and seriously, folks, it's going to be good stuff.
Yeah,
can you guys hear me?
You see the videos? Yes.
Okay.
Joe, David, I suggested, what if you establish?
Let's see if this works.
Because if you could get him on the phone on speaker.
Oh, I can hear that loud. Did you hook the audio from the phone to the?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
All right. So I'm going to bring him up. Well,
I think we're missing David now, though.
He has me on the telephone now.
Right. I figured I'd bring that up at least.
Still?
Dave, I can't hear you.
Ow! Yes, I can hear. Yes.
He might have to keep his live in room audio and just make the cell phone speakerphone.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hey.
Yes.
But you could hear Ken over the phone before?
Yes.
But I would cut out.
Right.
You were not there. Is Ken still there?
No, Ken, I had to disconnect for you to hear me again. I put us both into a splitter thinking that you would be able to hear us both.
All right.
But you could try what Mr. Schiaffo just said. This is live television. This is why this happens.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Sagoes, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am much better now that we can actually hear you. You know,
I caught Freddy Krueger Hale trying to get here tonight. We don't talk.
That's for damn sure. That is for damn sure.
So, Ken, there's a new hashtag on the show. It's Blame Dave.
What's up now? You can't hear me?
Yes.
No, we can hear you.
You can't hear us.
So, Ken, my first question for you, my friend, and I'm sorry that we had to do it this way. You know, the show, my sweet and wonderful daughter spent almost an hour trying to get Ken hooked up. We were having such technical difficulties. We thought we nailed it. But in Ken's defense, Ken is in a hotel in Chicago, and I suspect that the hotel just doesn't have enough Wi-Fi capabilities for it to work.
Let me correct that. Ken is in a hotel outside of Chicago.
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry.
I'm just letting you know how far I'm out. And I actually saw some potato fields.
So, Ken, tell me a little bit about how you got cast in A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, which is one of the very, very best of the series, and what it was like to work with Bob England.
Robert England, first of all, was like a big brother to everybody. But I got cast in the role, I'm not going to say by accident, but I'm going to say because what they was looking for, I did not fit the role. They was looking for some nice, slim bodybuilder dudes, and that wasn't me. I was chubby and out of shape, you know. So I didn't want to be there. I had to go in that morning for a ticket to downtown to try to get a ticket. I didn't want to go. It was raining all day, and so I told my agent I didn't want to be there. But he insisted that I be there. So I had to catch 3 buses to get there in the rain. So when I went in, I had an attitude. I just wanted to get in and get out because I didn't want to be there. So it turned out that that was the attitude that they were looking for. They thought I was acting.
What an awesome story.
And so he said, just say how you feel. So that was Chuck Russell. So I cussed him out. And he didn't know he was being cussed out. He thought it was acting. No, I didn't want to be there. So when I got home, my agent called me, and first thing I said was, I told you I didn't want to go. And then he said, they loved you. They booked you. That was it.
That was awesome. And when you were making that film, did you have any inclination that Chuck Russell would go on to be such a famous director and direct like Jim Carrey in The Mask and do other major Hollywood films?
I had no clue. And I also want to say I had never heard of A Nightmare on Elm Street. I had never watched it before. So when they called me about it, that's why it wasn't interesting to me. And it was just, everybody that I talked to said, you're going to The Nightmare on Elm Street? And so it was not a big thing for me. So I was just surprised. If I had known that Nightmare on Elm Street was going to be this popular, I would have kept all the shit that I threw away from the place. I had no idea that I was making history. I had no idea that my character was going to be envied by people all over the world, that he was like this hero. And I still get messages now from England, from France, saying that Kim Cade was their hero. And so I'm appreciative of that. You know?
Now, do you have any fun stories from this set of Nightmare on Elm Street 3? Like any major mishaps or anything that was out of the ordinary when shooting that film?
I don't really. You know, I hear that they say that there was a lot that was going on, but truthfully speaking, David, I did something by myself. I was a writer also. So when I wasn't filming, I was in my dressing room writing. And so I didn't know that all the crap that was going on. But I can say that, you know, that Chuck Russell, what he did is before we shot Nightmare on Elm Street, he had all the Dream Warriors, the kids, to come together, and we had a couple of parties before we shot. So the first scene that we shot was the one when we were in the room where I went crazy for Lawrence Fishburne had to take me out. So I think that worked so well is because we was all friends at the time, and we cared about each other.
Really, and that camaraderie that you guys grew before you started shooting actually plays really well in the movie, and it makes you feel for the characters when they take on Freddy. So then you go on and you do A Nightmare on Elm Street for the Dream Master with Rennie Harlan. Anything you could tell us about that?
They forgot to kill the black man in part 3. They said, oh shit. I give thanks to Wes Craven and all of them because my character made history. I'm the first black African American to ever survive a major horror film and return to a sequel. You know, not taking respect from Mr. William Marshall from the Blackula and Exploitation, but internationally, I'm the first. But however, they killed my ass so fast in part 4, you couldn't go and get that meat. I told my friends, don't go get no drinks, don't go get no popcorn. Take your ass straight inside and watch the movie.
Lance Wagner, who's one of our family here in the Indie Brigade, has a question for you. He wants to know, does Ken have any good stories of the late Mr. John Saxon?
tell about the late, great Mr. John Saxon is that I had one time that he sat down and we talked, and he encouraged me. I talked about the days when I was a little kid, and I used to see him do karate. And so he used to encourage me back in the Bruce Lee days. And he was always, he was like Zeus, an elder. He was the person who had the wisdom of back in the day. Robert England was the person who had wisdom up to date. So, I didn't know him. I didn't hang with him. But every time we were together, it was like we saw each other last week.
Sweet. Christopher Inlow, are you working on any new books? I know you're working on a film project, which we will talk about at length in a few minutes, but Chris is asking, are you working on any books?
Christopher Inlow, that is one brother that always supports me, so thank you, Christopher. Yes, I'm working on, the book that I'm working on is the one I just made a short film about. I'm going to do a sequel to that. And it's the McHenry trial. Don't judge a kid by their hoodie.
Sweet. Now, Ken, after you did A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, you did an episode of Night Court. How did you get involved with Night Court?
Because they said I looked like LeVar Burton. So it was his character that I actually was portraying.
Oh, so
I believe that they asked him to do it, but he couldn't do it. Anyway, he didn't do it, so they asked me to do it. So if you look, I kind of resemble LeVar Burton, Jordy from Star Trek.
yeah, you played a character played New Trekker, and I suppose that LeVar couldn't do it at that time because he was probably filming The Next Generation.
Yes, and I was happy.
So then, after a while, you do a whole bunch of television and film works, and you write, and you get involved with Joel and Ethan Coen, two of the most famous directors probably of all time. And how'd you get involved with Intolerable Cruelty?
I've been blessed.
I'm sorry?
Saw me on Nightmare. I've been blessed, but they saw me on A Nightmare on Elm Street, and they asked me would I do a cameo role, which is short for a day player, but just to be on the set with them, I was happy to do it.
That's awesome. I couldn't imagine working with talent like that. It's just mind-boggling to be with all those people who are involved in that film. So, Ken, I hear that you have something that you're super excited about. It's called the McHenry trial, and it's winning all kinds of awards. Can you tell us about this and where people could find information about it?
Yes, I wrote a short film based on a book I wrote called The McHenry Trial, Don't Judge a Kid by Their Hoodie. And it's about a 14-year-old kid, genius kid, who actually went to law school and finished and passed the bar at 14. And his first case is defending his father, who has been accused of murder at 14. And he has to go against a very shrewd law firm and an old school segregated-minded judge to defeat this lawyer. And he wins his rights to defend his father at age 14. It's not a true story, but it could be a true story. It's not a horror story. It's the things that happened to him going up against all these powerhouses, almost as horror. And just, it has some of everything in it. And it's on CI in over 350 film festivals from across the world has invited me to submit to their film festival.
That is amazing. And from what I've seen on YouTube, you have a trailer up. The film just looks outstanding.
I have a trailer, and this is what I need help from. I truly need everybody who listens to me help. I don't need money. I need your finger. I need you to go to YouTube and watch the trailer and like it and make a comment. Just go to YouTube and look up the McHenry trial trailer. It's 2 minutes. And like it and write a comment. I'm trying to get this to be a feature film. And I would like to direct it. So that I can show that people are interested in it. I can get a feature film done.
Oh, I have no.
I just won an award from India. I won an award in Italy. And I'm a finalist for Best Director in Australia. So this is an international type story. You know, and it's so timely to see this young kid take on the lawyer.
You know, as a fan of yours and as a friend, I have no doubt that you can, make a great film. You're incredibly bright. You're a super talented actor. And if everybody, I just want to make sure you heard what Ken said. Please go to YouTube and look up the McHenry trial trailer and subscribe to it and give it a like and a comment. It will really help Ken out in getting this film made. And he's a great guy. In the horror community especially should show him love for all the wonderful memories that Ken gave us in the great Nightmare on Elm Street films. Ken, where can people find you if they're looking to reach out to you or to get information from you about you?
You can look at me on Facebook, and there's one thing I want to say from me to the fans, is that I know that a lot of you all admire our work, but no celebrity is anything without fans. So that's why I always try to give fans respect. I know it may take me time, but if you reach out to me, I will come back. I will reach back. And, and I'm not so big not to realize that I'm who I am because of you. So you're really the celebrities to me. You're the wind beneath my wings. And I thank you for that. I always thank you. And incidentally, I started an organization in '97 where I give kids scholarships. I pay for their books when they go to school. And so far, I've helped over 550 kids in their college education, and I put over 5,000 books and supplies in schools. And I'm letting you know that whenever I do sign a picture and take that picture, I don't take it personally. I move it forward by paying for some child's book in school.
Well, Ken, I have had the honor of sitting next to you at shows. I've had the honor of being an acquaintance and a friend of yours now for over a decade. You've always been nothing but a class act, a fine human being. And every actor should aspire to do the kind of things you do for both your fans and your humanity. Ken, thank you so much for doing my show tonight under all these really difficult circumstances. And, for the next several weeks on my show, I will make sure that I mention that people go out and go on YouTube and find the McHenry trial trailer. Please subscribe to it, like it, and give it a comment. And Ken, thank you so much for being on the show tonight.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Love you, and I mean that sincerely.
We love you.
I didn't get a chance to talk with you.
We love you, and when you get back home and we can have a proper connection, I'd love to have you back on.
Thank you.
Good night, Mr. Sagoes.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you.
Good night, Mr. Sagoes.
All right.
Wow.
I, first of all, want to apologize to everybody for how that went, because we had the best of intentions to have Mr. Sagoes on. But with that being said, what the man just said and I hope everybody was able to hear what the man just said, shows what an amazing human being he was, or what an amazing human being he is, and how honored we are to have him on the show. Just an amazing, amazing guy. And again, thank you, Mr. Sagoes. Everybody, this weekend, if you're not watching Wits End, of course, put on Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and 4 and watch Kincaid kick Freddy's ass, because Ken's just an awesome guy.
And we got to do something here. Jack, pop up for a minute. Jack was kind enough to have the pictures going right now when we couldn't get.
Oh,
I don't know if you noticed that or not.
Oh, no. I thought it was you. Was Jack up?
No,
Jack,
that was all Jack. Jack came to the rescue, man. He was the one who was doing all the pictures, and he said, "Pop me in. Let me do this." And
Jack, you were like Rusty Staub coming up in the 9th inning with the bases loaded, facing Bruce Sutter, and you hit a grand slam. Thank you very much, Jack.
You're welcome, dude. I
have no audio, Jack.
You know, like.
Oh, there you go.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you're good. You're good.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, you're good.
Okay, hold on. Oh shit. Okay, I gotta get these pictures off. I have them like all going in sequence here. Let me get it. Okay. Good. Can we hear?
Yeah.
Can you hear?
Yes.
Okay. Good. Yeah. No. I figured. I mean, I know how live shows go, and I was just like, I have the opportunity to help you, and you would do this. All you guys would do the same. It's what the Brigade is about. We're a family, and regardless of the way things don't always go as to plan, we have to adjust. Just like me being a veteran, we strategize and we come up with a solution, and I'm glad I can help.
You did a great job. And it really enhanced what Ken's words are what made the episode wonderful. And
absolutely.
And I might tip my hat to you, Jack. Thank you, my friend.
You're very welcome. Anytime. What I'm here for.
Thanks, Jack.
Wow, that was a very. You know what's funny? It was a very, very strange interview because we had the technical difficulties. But talking to him on the phone had almost such a personal connection and vibe to it. It didn't feel like an interview where people are watching. And I think that allowed us to see who the real Ken Sagoes is. And if you're a fan of, the Nightmare on Elm Street series, or you're a fan of Ken's, you have to be glowing to see what kind of human being he is. I mean, it's really just the truth. Unlike Jaffo, who's just a rotten, miserable, no good for nothing weasel.
We didn't get a chance to even touch on he did a film with John Singleton, who's a Maverick and sadly gone way too soon. But he's in. Oh my God, I'm zoning on the name now. Rosewood.
Oh, Rosewood. Okay.
Yeah, and that film is maybe more pertinent today than ever. That's a film people should be watching. It was sadly about a very difficult scenario with the lynchings back in the old days, and powerful cast. Ving Rhames and Don Cheadle, and this is back in the 90s, and he's in that ensemble, Jack.
He would have been on for 45 minutes or an hour if things were different. And he was just an amazing interview and a great guy. And he is out, hey, Emmett, Haven for Heroes, if you're in the Northeast, great show, great store, Port Jervis, New York. Comic books, toys, baseball cards, all the cool stuff. It was just like a touching interview, and that's what I like about this show, is that there's I don't know, it's kind of people, mostly because it's a lot of people who I know personally. We could talk like real people and we can have real conversations, and they feel comfortable. And Ken is just a wonderful guy, and we were trying desperately to make his connection work better. But I guess anybody who stays in a hotel knows that when you either hook up your iPad or your laptop or your device to the hotel streaming, it never really works all that well. But he definitely made. Are you frozen? Oh, I thought you were frozen for a minute. I thought you were pulling an Ed Young on me. I'm very glad that you didn't start cracking up like you lost it when we had Ed on at the time.
Well, I was off camera, but I couldn't. There's an episode of Silicon Valley where that's the kind of running joke of the whole episode with people freezing, and it's hilarious. But yeah, I was off camera, but I was losing it when he was freezing up. There's something about that really gets me.
There's a segment I was going to do earlier with Joe, but I think it'll be fun to do it with you, Scott. Are you cool to hang for a few minutes?
Yeah, sure.
Last week I showed people filmmakers the difference between I'm having a brain fart, between prime lenses and zoom lenses. Just trying to teach a little bit to indie filmmakers out there about the difference between the two kinds of lenses, and how they work differently in different workflows. Yes.
And how not to bring lenses from freezing temperatures into warm places.
Yeah, where'd you go? Joe, why do you leave? Where'd you go? Why are you leaving? Did you do that in Van Halen? Joe, you're part of the show. You could stay unless you have to go whiz or eat a sandwich or do something like that. But whatever. All right. So last week I did about lenses. This week I want to do something about cameras and photography itself, and to show you something really, really cool, because this is like beyond cool. This right here is a 100-year-old cinema camera.
All right, I'm going to go close up on this.
All right. Now, you would open up the back and look how that is actually undeveloped film from over 100 years ago. Look how wide it is. When you think of a cinema camera from today with a 35 millimeter, it would probably be about a little bit less than half of what this camera has. And you would look through a hole in the top, right, which has a mirror inside, and you would see through the lens. Now, what was cool about this is that all the optics was the black box, and the shutter would open. If you see very clearly, you see the shutter opening in there?
Yes.
The shutter would open, and the light would go in and go onto the film, and that's the way. It was really that simple. You'd wind it up here on the side, right here, and literally the shutter would open, the light would hit the film, and it would expose on the film and turn into a film. This is the technology they had 100 years ago. And here's another one. This is a German version, but in this version, you would actually look through a viewfinder in the back. A viewfinder, could you imagine that? Then you would see out of these two holes, the film would go inside the canister. You would wind it up here. You'd press a button on the top, and you would make silent movies that way. The shutter would open. I don't know if you could see it. The shutter would open and close. Can you guys see that?
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is the way they would make silent films a very, very, very long time ago. Now, this is the grandfather of what contemporary independent filmmakers use today. This is what in 1932 would be the equivalent to today's DSLR.
That's 1932?
Yes. And if you look to understand how just unbelievably simple these cameras were, you'd open up the back like I just did, and on one side you would put the roll of, on this side you'd put the roll of film. It would go over the lens right here and wind up on the spindle. And then when you took a photo, it was as simple as the iris opening up and exposing the film to light. If you could see that.
Is that pre-flash bulb?
Yes. This is pretty much pre-everything. And you would have to take photographs back then in extreme light situations, like in the middle of the day. Now, if you were to take a photograph with this back in the day at night, you would have a separate device, which would be a flash that would be like the size of literally an umbrella that you would take out to protect yourself from the rain, or even like a beach umbrella. And they would, in synchronicity, when you press the button, expose the flash, it would light up the entire countryside, and you'd be able to get a photograph of that kind of stuff. So there you go, a little history on film itself and on cameras itself. I find that kind of stuff pretty awesome.
I literally ran to my living room to get this, and I'm not sure where it came from my wife's grandfather.
Okay.
I never did research on it, and I don't know if...
Where'd you go?
I'm right here.
Okay.
It's relevant or not, but
I could tell you what that is just by looking at it.
And it has the wind up thing. Okay,
Yep.
Go ahead.
That is either an 8 or a Super 8. Is it a Wellmark or a Bolex?
I don't know, and I'm not in proper light to even...
Okay. That is...
it looks like Walmart right
yes.
there.
Yeah, it says Wellenmark on it.
Yep. That is an iMac. Okay. That is a 8mm, not domestic, consumer camera with a fixed, I think maybe a 3.35 lens on it. And you would put a 8mm Kodak film in it that you would buy back then at any department store. And you could actually still buy film for that, Joe.
Really?
And those things actually worked like the way watches do, like Timex watches, where you would wind one side.
There's
and the winder right there. And when you had a spool of film in it and you pressed the button, the winder would release the spring mechanisms inside. The film would be fed through where the lens is. And that's the way it would expose the images onto the lens. Another camera that would need an enormous amount of light. But I would tell you that with the condition that's in, and if it works, Joe, you could probably get upwards between $1,200 and $1,500 for that camera.
Wow.
Yes.
Good
Especially if the lens is on the lens. Yeah, it even looks like it has a little bit of a. It sucks getting old. It's almost like a sunglass for lens, and I'm having a brain fart on what they call it. Every filmmaker puts them on there to get the proper exposure in daytime. So yes, it's a nice camera. Lance says he loves Super 8. I don't know if you mean the movie, but I don't think that's a Super 8. I think that's a standard 8mm. It looks a little bit too old to be a Super 8. But what do I know?
Says Cine Zoom on the side.
Cine Zoom, yes, because you have a zoom lens on there, and the capability to do that.
And a wrist strap, because this thing weighs 10 pounds, and that's what you want on your wrist.
No, absolutely. And it also has a wonderful alloy body, which when that thing, if you had film in it, I bet you the images that would take would absolutely blow you away.
Nice. He actually, he helped build, he was one of the guys on the Twin Towers building, and he started recording with this.
Wow.
Oh, sweet. What did he do for the Twin Towers? Because oddly enough, they don't stand anymore. But if you went into the Twin Towers when they were still standing, my father, William F. Madison, was the guy who designed the plumbing for both of the Twin Towers, and his name was on a plaque in the Twin Towers. And to this day, I'm convinced it's probably why it collapsed, because of Madison was involved. But that's beside the point. What did he do?
My wife's grandfather. So I'm not quite sure. I'd have to do a little research on it, but he recorded there with that. I don't know if he was a contractor or I'm drawing a blank. So I would actually literally have to do research, but it's pretty cool. And this is one of the things that we inherited. And I always thought it was cool. And in our theater room, I've always had this under the TV, and it was just, I don't know.
You know what's funny, Joe? It's one of those things that if you brought to like a pawn shop, they say, "Oh, I'll give you $40 for it," But if you find, if you sell it in the right outlet, like anything, and you find the right buyer, somebody who's really into those cameras, you could easily make $1,200 on that camera.
Yeah, that's going to be a family heirloom. So. Yeah, but I appreciate the information. It's just cool in general.
Very cool.
You know what's also making a comeback, and I wanted to talk about tonight? Do you notice that VHSs are making a comeback, and I don't understand why?
That came up on the Wagner show, I think, or was it? Yeah, I think it was the Wagner show. Why?
Right.
I don't understand why records are coming back either. I'm sorry. There's better quality.
Yes, the images are. That and they couldn't give you true widescreen on VHS, but I want to show you some of my gems on VHS. Do you guys remember this movie? Is it too
Reflection?
How's that?
Oh, Something Wicked This Way Comes. Yeah, was that Disney?
This is Disney's only horror movie.
Yes. Okay.
But this one is actually done by Anchor Bay back when Anchor Bay was cool. It's numbered number 23 of 5,000, and it came in a golden shell case. This kind of stuff is cool, Joe, because there's and Scott, because there's cool swag inside of them. And they don't really do that kind of stuff with DVDs, but they do that with VHSs. Do you guys remember? This was when we were kids, the hardest movie to get on VHS.
Yes.
Wow.
Did you guys have this?
Not on VHS.
Did you have it, Joe?
And friggin' when I was VHS was like $80 or $90 a friggin' pop. No, I did not.
And then let's talk. Who didn't love this movie?
Oh, They Live. Okay, that's freaking. So, Dave, you got any bubble gum?
No, I came here to kick ass. They Live came out in the 80s, and that is when Roddy Piper was the king of wrestling. He was the main heel, was a wonderful, wonderful bad guy, but everybody loved him. He was the guy you love to hate. And when They Live came out in, I think, 88, Meg Foster had the most beautiful blue eyes. And Roddy Piper and Keith David beat the shit out of each other for nearly 30 minutes in that movie. It was the coolest part of that movie.
And for you younger kids, he was the voice of Goliath in Gargoyles.
Very true. Very true. And here's another cool movie. And this is almost impossible to find on either VHS or DVD. Near Dark.
Oh.
No, wait a minute. That came out in the time of VHS, no?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Well, that's HBO.
Yes. No, I was saying it was back in the day when VHS was popular. It was unlike DVD. There was VHS that was priced to sell to the public that were, somewhere between $15 and $25. And then there were VHSs that were made legitimate just for rentals. And they were like $125, $130 each. And video stores would buy them. And then because they paid those exuberant fees, they were able to rent them. And you couldn't go into a store in the 80s and find a weird cult movie like Near Dark on the shelves because they were only made for rental. And that's why now they're very, very different. This is actually, if you look, it has the rating on the box that the video store put on it. and it has the genre of horror on the side. This is a relic from days before Blockbuster. So,
all you need is Bill Paxton's signature and you're gold.
It would be difficult because he's dead.
Well, okay.
It's true.
I know he's dead. I'm just saying, if you had it.
Mm-hmm. Well, Mr. Schaffo.
Yes.
Is there anything you'd like to tell our wonderful audience before we sign off for the evening, like where they could find you or any kind of things that are going on?
Just thank you very much for all the wonderful support that you all show on all my social media. Thank you for supporting all the projects, Wits End, Darkness Waits, Deep State this year, even though the quarantine and the this horrible COVID thing has been a mess. I feel fortunate to have some projects that have come out and are doing well, and I'm can't wait for the audio CD with Scott Meany's custom booklet. Thank you for putting that up, and there's going to be a multimedia video following that up eventually. So I'm just very, very fortunate to have all this going on and everybody who supports my wackiness. So thank you all.
Well, Scott, as always, thank you, brother, for being my wingman, being one of my dearest friends, and hopefully we'll see you next Friday.
Yes, and I will speak to you in between. Joe, good night.
Good night, Scott. Thank you.
Joe, I figured tonight we can I totally agree with you, George. Near Dark is beyond awesome. Again, Joe, I wanted to thank you for being a wonderful producer, and a wonderful co-host, and a wonderful friend.
I appreciate that very much. Thank you, sir.
I want to apologize to Mr. Romero for having so many technical difficulties tonight. I didn't mean to screw up your wonderful network with my stupidity. But I want to thank Ken Sagoes for coming on and being such a wonderful, wonderful guest, and being such a, he actually made my evening, to hear that people out there. Thank you, George. I it's right there, and I'm gonna nail it. I want to thank Ken for being such a wonderful human being and for saying such wonderfully kind things and letting us know that there are still people out there who care about other people. And it was just a great show. And with that being said, I will take my close-up, Mr. DeMille. Remember, no man is a failure who has friends. Good night, everybody.